All right, good morning, everybody. 6 days away from probably the biggest fight of the year. Arguably, maybe the biggest fight in terms of viewership of all time, being on Netflix, right? And one thing we keep hearing being repeated in the lead up to this fight is this is a 50-50 fight, right? We keep hearing that over and over again. Everyone obviously has their opinions. And to be honest, it's surprising the amount of people that are picking Crawford here. And I am one of them, right? But when you look, a lot of the people that are picking Crawford, a good amount of those people are other fighters, other trainers. And of course, a lot of those people are Terrence Crawford's friends too. So there is a bias. There's going to be a bias on both sides. Whenever you have um, a matchup like this, there's going to be tribalism. We've seen it and we're going to continue to see it. There's going to be ethnic pride, there's going to be racial pride. I get it. I get it. And again, we keep hearing this is a 50-50 fight, but it's really not. It's not a 50-50 fight, at least according to the odds makers. So if you take a look here on DraftKings, Canelo Alvarez is a minus 180. Terrence Crawford is a plus 145. So essentially, what they're telling you is this is really a 60-40 fight in Canelo's favor, right? So this is not, for all intensive purposes, a 50-50 fight, according to the odds makers, right? So even though the quote unquote boxing insiders, a good amount of them allegedly are picking Crawford, the general perception of this fight is Canelo Alvarez is the clear favorite here. So let's take a look at the winning methods. Okay. So fight outcome, Canelo Alvarez by KO, TKO, or DQ is a plus 380. Canelo Alvarez by decision or technical decision is a plus 115. So it's virtually close to even money that Canelo Alvarez is going to win this fight by decision. Draw, plus 1600. Terrence Crawford by KO is a plus 850. Terrence Crawford by decision or technical decision, it is a plus 210. So the least likely outcome, according to the odds makers here, is Terrence Crawford by KO. And the most probable or highly likely outcome, according to the odds makers, is Canelo Alvarez by decision. That's where they're telling you, that's where they're leaning towards, which is the most highly likely outcome, right? So they're telling you Canelo Alvarez is going to win this fight by decision, right? And much is being said about how Canelo Alvarez hasn't scored a knockout in about 4 years, and even at super middleweight, he's had 12 fights. He knocked out Rocky Fielding. He knocked out Yildirim. He knocked out Caleb Plant. And I believe that's about it. So at super middleweight, he has like a 23% knockout ratio. So hasn't been that knockout machine at super middleweight, right? And really hasn't been that one punch knockout artist, right? At middleweight. Well, actually, he had that one against Amir Khan, but that was a 155-pound catch weight. I think that was the last time he really scored a vicious one punch knockout, right? For the most part, he's been hurting guys, and getting stoppages when he has scored knockouts at the higher weights, right? But for the most part, he's not been that one punch seek and destroy type fighter, and he's never really been a seek and destroy aggressive type fighter throughout his career. He's been a counter puncher for the most part. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again: if you don't press him in fights, he's not really going to press you. So that's why styles make fights, and you do see a lot of these fights going the distance. Nationality, LOL. Not sure what that means. Ethnicity, nationality are pretty much similar or the same if you want to get technical. So I mean, I don't know if we want to do this today with the goofy little try to get the goofy little gotchas or nitpicks here. Let's stick to the fight. So yeah, again, he hasn't been that seek and destroy type fighter, counterpuncher type of style where he's not going to press you, and if you don't press him, he'll coast in fights. And a lot of times he'll conserve his energy, not the highest output. And even Crawford sometimes doesn't have the highest output, but he still has a higher output than Canelo. So if this becomes a numbers game and it's just who's going to land more, who's going to throw more, I think Crawford, and again, this is my opinion. We'll see on Saturday. I think Crawford will throw more. I think he'll land more. But the question is, and what's constantly being asked here is, how will Crawford deal with Canelo's power, right? Which is a great question. It's a great question. All the questions that are being asked of Crawford are legitimate questions, right? And questions that are being asked of Canelo, they're also legitimate, but there's more questions for Crawford in this fight than there are for Canelo, right? Because Crawford, the onus is on Crawford. He's the guy who's moving up, right? And he's the guy who's been inactive, right? And there's been a lot of criticism in his last performance against Madrimov. I don't agree with the criticism. Shout out to Bang Mateo. He says Crawford wins the ring, Canelo wins the cards. Okay, we'll see what happens here. Yeah, so again, I didn't think he was going to knock out Madrimov, right? At the time, I thought Madrimov was the best fighter at 154. And obviously, he lost to Crawford and he lost to Ortiz. The Ortiz fight I thought was razor close. I had that fight a draw, and most people had Ortiz winning, which is fine. Which is fair. But if you did have Ortiz winning that fight, you had him winning by the narrowest of margins, right? And it was a close fight. So I thought both fights were very close and competitive. I actually thought, Crawford started pulling away down the stretch, and he was actually starting to hurt Madrimov down the stretch. And you could see Madrimov getting a little worn down later in the fight, particularly in the last two rounds, right? But I thought both fights were competitive. But this whole thing that Madrimov was causing Crawford a lot of problems. Again, when you're fighting at this level, the fights are going to be competitive. I've always held Madrimov in a high regard, and styles make fights. And the thing with Madrimov is he's got very quick feet. He's very crafty, and there are a little bit of similarities between Madrimov and Canelo in terms of physical dimensions, in terms of how they're both counter punchers, in terms of how they both use feints effectively. But the difference is, I think Madrimov has much quicker feet than Canelo. Sorry, Canelo fans are going to get mad at me for saying that. I think he has much quicker feet than Canelo. And he's a bit more fluid and perpetual with his movement, meaning he's more consistent with the feints, right? Whereas Canelo, when he's on the outside, doesn't always tend to move his head from the outside because he's not a guy who, like I said, it is as fluid and perpetual as Madrimov. Madrimov is constantly, giving you little subtle movements with his head, and Canelo doesn't start really moving his upper body, bending at the waist until he gets close to you, right? That's where he starts dipping and ducking at the waist and moving, but he's not very mobile when there's a high level of space between him and his opponent. Hence why he gets hit with a lot of jabs. He's not like, doesn't have that constant, like I said, perpetual herky jerky type movement where Madrimov is constantly giving you those little subtle moves, doubling and tripling up sometimes the feints. Whereas Canelo is a little bit less prolific with that, right? So that's where the difference lies. And again, we talk about, the first thing to go in a fighter is the legs. And I'm just starting to see Canelo slow down a bit with the legs a little bit. And how you can really sense that and see that in a fighter is when you look at somebody and when their upper body tends to get ahead of their lower body, right? And you see guys later in their careers sometimes reach with their punches, be a little bit out of position, not always have their feet underneath them, right? Even with Pacquiao against Barrios, you could really see that. Like Pacquiao's upper body was getting ahead of his lower body, and he was a little bit off balance in that fight. And we're starting to see Canelo, his legs, his feet are lagging behind his upper body a little bit. We're starting to see him kind of lunge with that left hook, load up with that left hook. Whereas with Crawford, I thought his legs still looked good in that Madrimov fight. I did not think that was going to be an easy fight for Crawford. I said it before, and I'll say it after. I thought Crawford would win a decision. Full disclosure, I do think that Madrimov did better than I expected, but again, I never thought that was going to be an easy fight. Okay, let's take a look at here. He says Canelo much more relaxed in the pocket. He won't be trying to escape pocket like Madrimov backing out. Crawford was getting tagged flush by Mean Machine. He's not going to win. Save your money. Again, I don't understand how someone can be so confident. It's a 60-40 fight on paper, according to the odds makers. That's not a given. It's not a given, right? And this whole thing about Crawford getting tagged, right? Even the greatest defensive fighters in the history of the sport got hit with shots. Like Mayweather's been classified as the greatest, or one of the greatest, or at least the greatest defensive boxer by far in his era. Got hit with good shots against Chop Corley. Judah was tagging him. Chop Corley, like I said, buzzed him. We've seen Castillo get to him in a fight that a lot of people thought he lost. Shane Mosley buckled him badly twice in that fight. So the notion that you get hit with a shot here and there, and that all of a sudden constitutes you being getting hit a lot, I just think those claims are overblown, right? Because again, CompuBox is not the be all end all, right? But I think, and shout out to Lee Groves because he's a CompuBox guy. And the way they do it now is they're watching. A lot of them, they do the fights at their home. They're watching it on a monitor, so they could see the better angles now. They have the same view that we have pretty much, and they get all the instant replays and stuff like that. So again, one fighter counts one guy, another fighter counts the other guy. It's a little different now. So again, it's not the be all end all, but I think they have gotten a lot better. And obviously, it's just a reference. So let's take a look at the CompuBox numbers here for um, Madrimov versus Crawford, right? Let's take a look here because everyone's telling me that Crawford was getting hit and pieced up in this fight. So let's take a look here. Look, Madrimov only landed 84 punches in this fight. All right, 65 of them were power shots. Like landing 84 punches in a fight, getting hit 7 times in a round. That doesn't tell me you're getting hit with a lot of shots. And Madrimov was only threw 275 punches in that fight. So there had to have been something there that was making Madrimov not feel comfortable enough to have a high volume of punching, right? And what I believe it was that jab. So this notion that because Crawford got hit with a couple good right hands in the fight, which is again, even Mayweather got hit with good shots throughout the course. Like you're gonna get hit. It's if you're gonna get pieced up, if you're getting rocked consistently, if you're getting wobbled, and I thought Crawford rolled a good amount of those shots, and I thought Crawford actually started getting to Madrimov later in the fight, and you could see him feeling the worse for wear as that fight wore on. So getting hit by with 84 punches in a fight is not, and if you're not rocked, wobbled, or you're getting buzzed or stunned or your head's like I just didn't. Again, Madrimov did very well in the fight. I had the fight close. I had Crawford edging it out 115 and 113. Like you could argue maybe Crawford won 116 and 112, whatever. But Madrimov is a crafty guy. Madrimov was the chief sparring partner for Bivol when Bivol was getting ready for Canelo. And again, sparring is not, again, it's sparring is sparring, but there had to have been a reason why Bivol decided he wanted to use Madrimov in preparation for Canelo, right? And people forget Madrimov's not a small guy either. This guy was 165 pounds as an amateur. So again, let me ask you this. Name anyone from 154 to 160, regardless if you think they would beat Madrimov or not, right? Because again, I think Madrimov can still work his way back in and at some point could be thought of as the best fighter at junior middleweight. I think he beats Vondora. If he, I would pick him versus Martazuliev, right? Virgil Ortiz, he won the fight, but again, that was a razor close fight. I had it a draw. If you probably had to pick a winner, I think you'd have to say Ortiz edged that fight out. But again, you could say on any given night, Madrimov could beat anyone at 154. So again, he was thought to have been the best fighter in that division when Crawford fought him. So I just didn't think that was going to be a cakewalk, in my opinion. I just didn't think that was going to be a cakewalk. So let's take a look at the CompuBox for Ortiz and Madrimov, which was another close fight. Everyone loves to give Ortiz credit for getting the victory, but you know, so if you look at this one, Madrimov threw significantly more punches against Ortiz, 466 punches. He landed more, 127. Uh, a great deal of those punches were 97 power shots. So, and then if you look at Madrid, again, I'm going to be a hypocrite here because I've always said before, you don't score fights by facial damage. But let's just take a look at Madrimov's face after that Crawford fight. Because again, people are saying, oh, well, if he didn't hurt Madrimov, how's he going to hurt Canelo? But let's just take a look at Madrimov's face. Like, again, look at that face. If and that was caused by the jab. So if you don't have a heavy-handed jab, that's not just swelling around the like that whole left side of his face around that eye area. That's a significant damage. Like if like people are talking as if Crawford's going to be like this feather duster type power puncher in this fight, like in this fight with Canelo. And oh well, he can't hurt Canelo. Well, did Mayweather hurt Canelo? Who really hurt Canelo besides Jose Cotto? Did Bivol stagger, buckle, get Canelo in trouble? Did Triple G get him in trouble? Like you can still win fights without wobbling, staggering, buckling, and knocking down your opponent, right? So again, this whole thing like that you have to significantly hurt somebody to win a fight, and you can't outbox them. You know, I don't know if I agree with that. I just don't know if I agree with that. So everyone's putting so much stock in the fact that Crawford has to hurt Canelo. Again, of course he wants to get his respect. Of course he wants to be able to stop him in his tracks. But what I believe, and I said it before and I'll say it again, is Canelo is not that seek and destroy guy. So this whole notion that he's just going to walk Crawford down, back him into a corner and pummel him, and I don't. That's just not who Canelo is, right? And Crawford, the whole thing is, yeah, he likes. People say he likes to trade. He can get hit, but it all depends on who he's fighting, on which approach he wants to take. Because we've seen him fight very methodical, cerebral type boxing matches where he would probe from the outside and just conservatively box without engaging his opponent. We saw that several times. We've seen him do it against Ricky Burns when he had to go overseas. He wanted to, he didn't want to take any unnecessary chances, so he boxed comfortably in that fight. He did it against Breedis Prescott. Breedis Prescott at the time was a murderous puncher. He didn't want to take any unnecessary chances against him. We saw him do it against Polstel, and even against Spence. Like who's piecing up Terence Crawford? Who's really piecing him up to the point where like all of a sudden people are about Terence Crawford like he's morphed into this Arturo Gatti type fighter, this Mickey Ward type fighter, where he's just gonna rock'em sock'em robots with you. He's taken chances against fighters who he perceived himself to be significantly bigger than, and he felt as when he feels he's the bigger, stronger guy, and he can overpower you, right? Like with Gamboa, when Gamboa landed that big shot, that was a shot that caught him by surprise because he got a little brave, got a little overzealous in there because he felt as though he's the bigger, stronger man, significantly harder hitter. He's not going to feel that way in this fight. So the notion that he's just going to sit there and play rock'em sock'em robots with Canelo Alvarez is crazy. And this whole notion that Canelo Alvarez is going to turn into Julian Jackson in this fight, where he's just going to be a seek and destroy guy, looking to walk Crawford down. That's just not his style. He's never been that guy. So I don't understand how people think that he's just going to automatically turn into that for this fight. So again, it's really not a 50-50 fight. This is a 60-40 fight in Canelo Alvarez's favor. That's what the odds makers are telling us, right? And yeah, the general public is telling us that Canelo is the prohibitive favorite here. So we'll see how this fight plays out. Like I said, Crawford's got the longer arms. I think he's got the quicker feet, right? I think that jab is really, really, really going to cause Canelo problems in this fight. I just do, and I think Canelo's going to have to get close here. But I do think the feet have slowed down just enough where he's going to have problems getting that his feet set. And I think Crawford is going to try to keep this fight in the center of the ring, and I think he, for the most part, will have success doing that. And even in these recent fights with Munguia and Berlanga, where Canelo has scored knockdowns, and even against Jermell Charlo, he's done that because his opponent was up against the ropes. So do I believe he's going to trap Crawford into a corner in this fight? Anything is possible, but I don't know. I just think Crawford is not going to fight a stupid fight. And then everyone's saying, well, Crawford has to fight a perfect fight. Well, what about Canelo? Canelo's going to be the guy throwing fewer shots, in my opinion. I don't think he's really going to be pressing the action here. So if you're going to be throwing fewer punches, and again, he's been throwing one punch at a time, right? If you look at the last six fights of Canelo, he's just not that same guy. He's just not that same guy that he was back in 2018, 2020-ish, 2021. It's like we're seeing a change there. One punch at a time. The punches are starting to come out slower. The feet are starting to slow a bit. Um, if you're throwing one punch at a time, and you don't have always have your feet underneath you, and you're reaching with these shots, I don't know, man. I don't. So he's just gonna land one shot, and Crawford's just gonna fold up like a folding chair, and that's gonna be the end of it. I don't know, man. Again, I don't know. I look, it's gonna be a tough fight. I understand the questions about Crawford. They're all legitimate, but there's still a lot of questions about Canelo. And yes, Canelo is the bigger man, but how much bigger is he? There's always more often than not, there's a bigger man in every fight. You know, even guys who fight in the same weight classes, because you have this day before weigh-in. These guys are weighing in 36 hours before the fight. A lot of these guys are fighting in weight divisions they probably shouldn't be or wouldn't be fighting in if this was back in the 80s, right? When we had same day weigh-ins. So the fact that Crawford has not grown and filled out over the years, right? And even before the Spence fight, he was telling people, like, this ain't an easy cut for me either, right? He said, I'm going up to 154 after this fight, right? He said it. He said it, right? So, is Canelo really a big 168 pounder, right? And then people say, oh, he lost to Bivol because Bivol was the bigger guy. Uh, is Bivol bigger than Callum Smith? I don't think so, right? Is Bivol bigger than Caleb Plant? Probably about the same size, right? But the thing is, Bivol has an excellent jab. He knows how to gauge range. He's got great timing. He's really, really good at disrupting his opponent with that jab. And again, Canelo's going to have problems with guys who have quick feet, who can fight at a distance, right? Who can probe from the outside, the pot shotters, right? Bivol's a pot shotter, right? Who can do other things, obviously, right? Just like Lara was a pot shotter. Floyd was a pot shotter. So has Canelo gotten better? Yes. But he's never really solved that pot shotter, quick footed guy from the outside guy with long, rangy arms, guy who has a quick, tricky, rhythm breaker, disruptive, versatile jab. I think that Crawford has a very, very underrated jab. Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders is not a pot shotter. He's more of an in and out ambush style fighter who at 168 wasn't the same quick footed guy he was at 160 in my opinion. Yeah, Billy Joe Saunders is not that elusive guy that people try to frame him as, in my opinion. He's a guy who likes to move in and out, and I'm not saying he doesn't have a great jab or a good jab, but he's not a pot shotter. He's not a pot shotter from the outside. Yeah, I I disagree with that. I don't think Billy Joe Saunders has quicker feet than Crawford. I don't think he has better move. Again, when you say movement, movement isn't just someone who moves a lot, right? Because Hector Camacho moved a lot, right? Andre Durrell moved a lot. It's effective movement, the subtle movement, moving just enough to create that punching angle and getting you out of harm's way, right? Just because someone moves a lot, is that effective movement? That's what you have to ask yourself. So, again, Billy Joe Saunders is not this outside pot shotter like Lara and Floyd and Bivol can be and are. So that's where I think the problem lies here. What's up, brother? How you
What
doing?
is up, brother?
Nice to see you, as always. The correspondent from what, New Zealand here?
Yeah. 1 week away. 1 week away.
6 days away. We're less than 1 week away here. You excited?
Yeah, yeah. I haven't been this excited since when was the last? Maybe
Again,
Canelo.
again, you have to keep repeating yourself for the slow people in the chat. Billy Joe Saunders is not a pot shotter. He's an in and out ambush style fighter. He doesn't stay on the outside and just pot shot like Floyd, like Lara, like Bivol does.
Hey, Beebs.
I mean, you have to accept it.
Hey, Beebs. Sorry, just going off track.
Yeah,
If Mayweather wanted the big fight or the big money, the big attention, dude, fight Pacquiao in an exhibition match.
I
Why?
agree. I
Why fight
agree.
Mike Tyson? No one. We have Mike Tyson fatigue now. He kind of like the Roy Jones Jr. fight wasn't very good.
No.
The other fight with Jake Paul wasn't very good either. It was staged really. We're not gonna fall for it for this one as well. I don't think it will happen to be honest because it's 2026, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it will happen. I think they're just gonna they're gonna whoever is broadcasting this, they're gonna see that there's no interest in it. I mean, if you look at all the social media, no one wants to see it, man. At least with the Jake Paul, it was 50-50. Here, it's like 95.5%. So it's like, dude, like, Floyd, man, like Floyd, like, look, dude, not many people think that I like Floyd, but I actually do because I bought all of his pay per views in his prime. I was thinking, dude, just fight Pacquiao, man. Like, and like and get it over and done with. Like people will actually watch that fight. You know what I mean, Beeps? Because it's like a real rivalry.
Listen, problem is, especially in boxing, they're just people who run the sport of boxing, right? And even a lot of these fighters, they're just stubborn. At some point, people are gonna not fall for the gimmick anymore, and they're starting to do that. And this whole thing with Tank Davis and Jake Paul, I don't know. That may not even the fight may not even come off because even in an exhibition, the sanction, not the sanctioning body, excuse me, the states aren't going to sanction it as an official fight, but they still have to approve it as an exhibition. And I remember in boxing, and I don't know if this is the same for exhibition, but I know sanctioning bodies and I also know state commissions. Um, in a lot of cases, they will not allow fights to happen if there's a greater than 10-pound weight difference, right? And I guess in the Georgia, it's 9 pounds, they were saying. So when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Donnie Lalonde, they were within the day of the weigh, and they were within a 10-pound difference of each other. So you can't fight. You have to be within to fight for a world title. You can't be more than 10 pounds or 9 pounds less than your opponent at the official weigh, right? So I don't think they're going to allow a fight like that because of the great disparity in weight. Now you can argue with Beeb, how did they allow Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul? Well, where was that fight actually? I don't even remember where that fight
It was
was,
in
but
Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
This fight may have to go to Florida, or it may have to go. Florida has a commission, and seems like you know Florida is pretty lax. And if you want something that like Florida was during COVID was they were allowing events and stuff. They tend to go a little bit outside the box. So a lot of these commissions will reject these types of fights, and even the Misfits Boxing, right? When they have these events in the UK, the BBBOC will not sanction them, so they have to get like the Mohegan Sun Commission to sanction these fights, right? Because a lot of these commissions frown upon these types of fights, right? So, hey, listen,
Because I do think that there's the backlash between Floyd and Tyson and uh, uh, Jake Paul and Tank Davis is not the same. I feel like there are more people that want to watch it, like maybe 60-40, whereas the Floyd Mayweather Mike Tyson one, if you look at the social media, nearly, I don't think that, I haven't read not one comment where they say, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Whereas with the Tank Davis Jake Paul one, yeah, there's probably maybe out of 10, maybe 4 or 3 will say, yeah, okay, it's a
listen.
novelty.
I always respected Floyd Mayweather as a fighter. Um, I kind of gave pushback to a lot of the criticisms because I understand. Oh well, people wanted him to fight certain guys. People wanted him to fight certain guys at certain times. But at the end of the day, he was still in his late 30s, dominating the sport. Like when he beat Manny Pacquiao, he was like 37 years old. Oh, now how old was he when he fought Manny Pacquiao?
I think 38. Manny was
38.
5, I think,
Yeah.
or something
Uh,
like that. I don't know. I know he was older.
he was
Uh,
born. He was born in 1978, right? So when did that fight happen? That fight happened
2015.
2015, right? And he fought Canelo what? When he was
2012, I think. I was at that fight.
that was 2013 when he fought
Or
Canelo, and he
somewhere
fought
around
Manny
there.
Pacquiao 2 years later. So he was like 36, I think, when he fought Canelo, and he was almost 38 when he fought Pacquiao, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, Canelo he was a pro for 8 years. He had 41 fights. He was a champion at the time. You know, again, Floyd is just a great fighter. There's no getting around it. He was a great fighter, regardless. He beat a lot of great fighters. Um, this whole argument. Let me just finish this point real
Yeah.
quick. This whole argument that Canelo has fought a lot of elite fighters. I'm going to say something extremely controversial. Extremely controversial. The only elite fighter he fought, in my opinion, was Mayweather, and he lost to him.
Triple
Now,
G too.
I don't even know if I like Triple G is great. Bibble's
I mean, like
great.
elite.
But for me, because elite is a very subjective term. I'll give you how I
Moto was
classify
elite. I thought it was.
Cotto. No,
Yeah. You don't
great,
think?
great, not elite. I don't think Bibel's elite either because the way I classify
Yeah, not
elite,
people.
when I classify someone as elite, for me, couple things. They could fight in any era and be potentially dominant or have the chance of beating anybody, right? I think Mayweather could have fought in any era and as much as I love Sugar Ray Leonard, I would pick him to beat Floyd. There is a scenario where I could see Floyd maybe winning that fight, right?
Yeah.
So for me, elite is someone who could fight in any era and someone who I would rank top 10 an all-time great. Now,
Dude, there's not many of them. There's only 10 of those beeps.
so when I look at Mayweather, could I say easily, in my opinion, I would at least put him in the top 10 best of all time
Oh yeah.
at welterweight? Like
Yes.
you could argue he's in the top 4 or 5. Maybe some people would put him number 1 as the best welterweight of all
He
time.
has a case. He has a case.
But like Golovkin, is he at top? Is he an all-time great at middleweight? I can name a lot of
Top
guys
10?
at middle.
Is he a top 10 middleweight, you think? Man,
Is
because there's so many fighters at
I
middleweight.
can name tons of guys who I would pick to beat him
Yeah.
at middleweight.
Because it was
Tons of
loaded. The,
guys.
the middleweight division is
That
loaded.
doesn't mean he's not great. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean he's not great. I don't think Golovkin is elite. I think he's great. The only two fighters in the last 20, 20 years who I think are elite is probably Floyd and Manny.
I
Right?
think Canelo's elite. I think
I
he's
don't
elite.
think Canelo's elite, and I'll tell you why.
You don't think so? Oh,
He's
man.
great. I don't think he's elite, and I'll tell you why. I could name tons of middleweights and tons of super. Let's run down a list of
Oh, he's
middleweights.
in the top 168 for sure.
Okay,
Canelo?
let's run down.
Okay.
Let's run down 168. I'm gonna
Okay.
give you all these guys.
Okay.
Does he beat Joe Calzaghe?
Probably not. No.
Does he beat Andre Ward?
Nah, probably not.
Does he beat Roy Jones?
Definitely not.
Does he beat Bernard Hopkins?
Definitely not.
Does he beat Kyle Froch?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe
I
not.
think he outboxes
I would pick Froch over him.
Canelo's got a chin too, by the way.
Does he beat Nigel Benn?
Yes.
I see. I don't know.
All
It's
right.
not impossible. Does he beat Chris Eubank?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. Right?
Canelo's tough, man. And he
Here's
can box.
another guy. Steve Collins. That was a guy who beat both Nigel Benn
I
and
don't know. I don't know a lot about Steve
yeah.
Collins.
I don't know if he beat Steve Collins. Does he beat Mike McCallum? I don't know.
That's a tough one.
I don't
But
know.
Canelo does have a chin, though. So a lot of these big punches, he can't take a punch. So
Does he beat Mikhail Kessler? Now he may be able to beat Mikhail Kessler. That's one he may be able to beat because
Kessler, he was a beast, man. In his prime, there was only one fighter that beat him, which was
Andre Ward. Andre Ward and Kyle Froch both beat him, but
no, but he wasn't in his prime at that time. I mean,
Yeah.
like, who's the first person that you mentioned? B? What was his name again? From Wales? The first one that you mentioned, it was from Wales. Calzaghe.
Calzaghe?
is the only one that Danish guy that you're talking about. Because I remember that fight. It was in Wales. It was like the best 168 pounds at that time, and you know what? He rocked him I think in the 4th or 5th round, but he couldn't adjust. But it was such a great fight that fight like, in Wales.
let's. You asked a question the other day about Canelo versus Lara. Let's ask the people in the chat
Right?
who won that fight.
I say
We're gonna-
Canelo.
We're gonna say I want everyone in the chat. Give me a 1 if you think Canelo won that fight. Give me a 2 if you think Lara won that fight.
Canelo did enough, man. But it could have gone either way. I'm not going to like.
So what did I say? A 1 for Canelo, a 2 if you think Lara won the fight. So 1 for Canelo, a 2 for Lara.
But I gotta admit, Canelo did.
All right, look at this now. We got 1 Lara, 2 Lara, 3 Lara. Let's see, guys. We got 33 people in here.
But the fight doctor's a little bit biased, man. Of course, he's gonna pick Lara.
Fight doctor's a genius, man. This guy knows more about. This guy forgot more about boxing than most people have.
I'm Canelo, so that's three for Canelo. You got
Lara did not run in that fight. That is
now,
BS.
Beebs. Us Filipinos and Mexicans and maybe Japanese boxing fans, we see that as running around the ring. Now, you guys don't see that, but from our point of view, because we don't have in our culture, we don't have slick fight. We don't do hit and
Fight
get hit.
Doctor Fight Doctor has a MD in boxing. You can't disrespect him.
No, 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 no.
Look
It's
at all these
it's the
twos.
culture.
Look
No,
at
no,
all
no.
these twos. Look at all these twos. Look at all these twos. Wait, wait, wait.
Hey, so some of these accounts are the same people, so
No,
I'm
they're
not
not. These
trusting any
people.
of these.
One thing about this channel, it's not the biggest channel in the world, but it has some of the most educated boxing fans in the history of the sport in this channel.
Not what Beeps. Who's that guy who always rings and like he that
Jerry,
old guy Jerry. Not what Jerry thinks. Jerry thinks that you shouldn't be what's the word? You shouldn't be glorifying like like the amount of views that you have, even though it's in the thousands sometimes,
oh
which is
he
good by the way.
he always talks shit about this channel, and you know what? This channel doesn't get a lot of views. That's fine. Like, what am I going to do? Sit there and cry about it? Listen. I opened this channel in 2013, but I didn't actually start doing videos on it until
Hold
2016.
on, Beep. What? It wasn't you. It was what's his name? It was Lorta. Was didn't he open the
This
ringside
is
report?
no, 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 no. So I'll explain to you what happened.
Yeah.
Lorda always had that show, but he never had a YouTube channel.
Ah, okay.
So we signed a merger, him and I. I had
Ah.
to give up a lot of rights. I gave up my creative control just to bring
What
him
was it?
over.
Wasn't that your friend was there at the beginning? What was his name again? And then
Who?
you took over. The other guy who rings in. What's his name again? Damn, I can't remember his name.
Ringside Robbie
Yeah,
and Eric.
Robbie.
Ringside Robbie and Eric did that show, right? And it was Robbie and Eric, and Robbie was the one that asked Eric to bring me on.
Yeah.
And at first, Eric didn't want to bring me on. I had to call Eric, and I had to do an interview over the phone with Eric.
Because weren't you with that other boxing that's really popular?
I was
What's
with
that?
the Boxing Voice, right?
Yeah.
When I was with the Boxing Voice, I wasn't doing videos on this channel, right?
How come you left that channel, Beeps? What happened?
Well, we had a little bit of a falling out, Ness and
Ah,
I, but I always respected Ness, and I always respect that channel because I always, if people don't know Ness, I've worked with Ness behind the scenes. That guy puts in a lot of time and effort, drove a lot of miles, went to a lot of fights. Um, he was one of the, probably arguably one, the hardest working person I've ever seen in the boxing journalist industry. Guy did a lot, and
mine
he's
showed
smart.
it.
And he's
Mine
smart
showed.
too. He's smart too because these other boxing channels, right? Most of them, they only have one niche, meaning a lot of these guys just do interviews, right? But they don't do like actual podcast style long form content like Ness does. So Ness did both. He does interviews and he does long form podcasting, and he allows, like, we take calls and everything, right? But Ness was the first person to do that on YouTube, create a boxing podcast, and actually allow have that fan engagement on YouTube like that. No one's ever done that before. Like, people would do it on Blog Talk, but Ness did it on YouTube where he had fan engagement. And Ness actually has people pay. Like, if you wanna be put to the front of the line and you want to do that, like, he's got people paying to do that. So yeah, Ness is a genius. He was a
But because
genius.
this channel, even though it's not like Ness or Showbiz, the adult, it is a sanctuary for some people. Like
Well,
where
this
we just
channel
want
has its niche because the thing about this channel is everyone's biased to some degree, but this channel tries to be very objective. We're not fanboys. We don't, we're not like clickbait people. We're not like gimmicky. We fool around. We have fun. We're lighthearted, but we also try to break down the fights. We try to be logical and stuff, right? So even though I'm picking Crawford, I know that I'm in the minority here. Like I have to make a stronger argument for my case because Canelo is the favorite here. He's the one that most people think are going to win. He's the prohibitive favorite here.
Hey, but you know what this fight is missing? It's missing like a 24/7. I know
I
that. I know
noticed that. I noticed that.
Netflix did pull out one, but they kept using Fight Hype's video. I was thinking, dude, for the amount of interest this has,
Yeah,
what about
Netflix
your
is
episode?
Netflix is still trying to figure out how to do this. Boxing is not their niche.
I think Netflix is just nitpicking which fights that they want, and they're not going to do any marketing because it's just they just want to use it as a filler. Like here is like a live sport event that you want to watch for our subscribers. If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Like it's not something that they don't even market it. I haven't seen a YouTube advertisement that says, "Hey, this fight is on." At least with like when HBO and Showtime was on, at least I saw it on YouTube. Like they'll pay for it. I feel like I don't know, like see the thing is at least with the if this fight was in the zone would at least do some videos on how to hype up this fight because the thing
I'll
is
tell you
sometimes
what
you
they're doing here. I'll tell you what they're doing here. They're getting a lot of free promotion because you're seeing a lot of fan engagement, like a lot of TikTok videos, a lot of shorts. They're doing a lot of they're getting a lot of free promotion from shorts and TikTok shorts and stuff like that. I see a lot of that. And now you're seeing Crawford do a lot of podcasts. Canelo, I think, was on Shannon Sharp. So I hate to say this because I'm going to get attacked for this. They're following the Trump blueprint for this fight in terms of promotion. Look at your face. You don't like it, but
no, I don't like Shannon Sharp. That guy, look,
oh, I
dude,
don't. I respect him, but I'm not a huge fan.
I don't. I used
He's
to.
he's too much of a TMZ type guy. Like he's a
Dude,
I
I
don't
thought
like shock jocks. I mean,
there's a
but
reason why.
again, shock jocks do well. People tend to like shock jocks. I'm not a fan of the shock jocks.
Beeps, I used to respect him, right? Because there's not a lot of football players 10 years ago, or even 15 years ago, who are professional football players who then become a really good TV guy. And I thought he was, right? However, I didn't know he was dumb. Look, you can't have some TikTok woman have you, man. Like that's not on, man. You guys,
Well, again, here's the thing, man.
you're around smart people. How could you let someone do that to you? $28 million? What the? No one
Well,
is worth
we
28 million.
don't know how much he paid her. We don't know, right?
Well, that's
But
what it's been reported.
yeah, they're saying all types of stuff. I don't know how much. If I was to guess, I'll tell you the truth, in my opinion, because
It's a
it's
lot
not
of
really
money.
been official yet. I think he may have thrown her in between $3 and $5 million, which is still substantial.
He
I
didn't
don't
want to
think.
go to court either. It was settled out of court, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you something here. Now he may have won the case, but the embarrassment of having all of that footage. Think about this. One way or another, right? Even if you were to win that case, like even Johnny Depp, right? When he had that case with Amber Heard, look at all that embarrassing footage that came out where they showed him kind of drunk and out of it. There was shit on his bed and stuff like that. Like, I'm glad he won, and I know she set him up, but he had to go through a lot of embarrassment throughout that. So even if you think and you feel confident you can win the case, a lot of things are going to come out. Like, do you really want people knowing about your sex life is private, right? The fact that someone's gonna like imagine this is kind of a little bit weird to say this, but everyone has their fetishes. So imagine one day someone
Oh,
imagine you had
yeah.
consensual sex with somebody, right? But you did some crazy shit that you don't want people to know that you did, or people you don't want people to be able to see what you did. even though it was consensual,
De La Hoya.
that's still your private information. So the fact that knowing your private information is going to get out there, maybe you'll pay to protect that, even if
See,
you didn't even if you didn't do anything wrong.
Sabib, this is where I did respect Mayweather when he went through his case. He did not pay out his ex-wife. He went through court and he went to jail actually. So you know what I mean? Because there are some things
Well,
that are not worth it, man.
he didn't let it go to trial because they were gonna charge him with greater charges. So he actually pled guilty so he could have a lesser sentence, which is fine. I mean, again, you do what you got to do. You have to weigh your best options in a situation or a case like that. I get it. I get it.
You see that last one,
Well,
last
I
one.
mean, when you say cream pied, what is it like? Like, I don't think you've ever seen me actually get cream pied. So what do you mean by
You never
cream?
lost a bet, Beeps? It
I haven't.
was only Lorta that did it.
Well, here's
I
the thing:
didn't do it.
if you want to see me get a pie in my face, right? Then why don't you bet me? And then if I win, I we get to see you have a pie in your
So you
face.
never did it, Beeps? You never. Oh, it was only.
Eric,
I remember
listen,
Lorta.
we've had several people, right? Not several, like Georgie had to take a pie. Aaron Daly had to take a pie. Eric took a pie.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
took a pie. But the fact that you take pleasure in watching someone take a pie, I mean, to each his own. I mean, if that gets you off, then we have to question, if you're a little freaky deaky behind the scenes yourself. So,
I
I
think everyone
so
has.
getting a pie in the face is not to try to turn other people on, right? It may turn on Big Texas, but if you're being turned on by that, then I mean that's something you got to work out with yourself. I don't know if you have a significant other, but if you're getting turned on by something like that, that's something you may have to do some type of intervention yourself, get some type of therapy. But for us, we honor our bets. We put ourselves out there. So, but it's not designed for people to get off on. So if you're getting off on that and you say you miss seeing that, I don't know. That's something you got to work out between yourself and you know your family members or people in your life.
Speaking of fetishes, with De La Hoya, man, this thing has, even though people on social media, I do see that, I respect De La Hoya. He didn't duck anyone. He fought like a true Mexican. But I have to mention the fishnets. Like, it is hilarious though how it's
Listen,
carried. He should have just denied it. He could have gotten away with it, dude, because of the AI and why did he like? I think looking back, I reckon he regrets admitting to it.
nobody nobody loves money more than me, right?
I love money too.
I can admit that. I love money, and whenever I hear someone say, "Oh, money is not important. No, it doesn't matter." This they try to downplay money. But once you get to a certain status or position in your life, right? Money becomes sometimes a coping mechanism, or in other people's cases, if you have so much money, money just becomes points on a scoreboard at some point, right? So money does lose, depending upon your position or status in life, or obviously how much of money you do have. When you get to a point where you have fu money, obviously it's not. It's the same thing. Like if you work at if you're a guy and you're getting the punani thrown at you, then it's not as big of a deal to you anymore. Like if you work at a donut shop and you can eat as many donuts as you want, then again the donuts don't taste as good after a while. Like so for a lot of people, like Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, money's just a coping mechanism for that guy. Do I think that guy is happy? I mean, obviously, I'm not a psychologist, I'm
Of
not a
course, he's
psychiatrist,
happy.
but do I think Floyd Mayweather is a happy person? I
I
mean,
think so.
if you're
But
constantly think about it though, if you're a guy who's constantly having to validate yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
There's something like Floyd
But it
comes
doesn't mean
out.
he's not happy. It doesn't mean he's not happy.
Well, is he really happy though, or is he content, or does he have long-term happiness? Like, why would you have to constantly, like, you're in your 50s and you're acting like you're in your 20s, like you're acting like you just got the money. You know what I mean? Like, you have to constantly validate yourself, show people, oh, look how much money I like. Money for him, to me, is a coping mechanism. You know what I mean? Just a coping mechanism.
Beeps. I was working for a stockbroking firm before the GFC. So this is around two
What is it?
thousand and
What is the
six
GFC?
to 2008. So this was around 2006, 2007. Dude, the money was flowing in our company. Like it was like
What is the GFC?
a global financial crisis.
Okay.
That's when the debt.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about before the global financial
Yeah,
crisis. I
yeah.
thought
It
you were
was.
talking. I thought you were saying GFC as if it was a company. I apologize.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, the stuff that we were, by the way, as a rule, general rule in a share broking firm, after the share market closes, oh, actually, no, no, sorry, after lunch on a Friday, you don't go back to work. You either at a nightclub per se that opens in the afternoon, or a strip club, or brothels even. Like that's the culture of the broking firm, and that's the reason why there's hardly any women in the broking house. There may be one at the front desk, which is the reception, but other than that, we were all guys, and but I didn't see it as a coping mechanism. It was more
Scoreboard.
like men being men, because you had money.
Scoreboard. It's a scoreboard. It's
And
like it's like
because you had,
I have more, like, it's points on a scoreboard, meaning I'm ahead of you in status. I'm beating you on the scoreboard.
but Beeps, I like when we had like when I had. I'm just gonna speak for myself.
Go ahead.
This is a long time ago, right? So when I had a blonde, right, I didn't see it as like, oh, like when you're saying about the donut. The next week, I wanted to see another one. Like, I didn't see it as like, oh,
Because you were competing. You were competing. That's
maybe.
because that's, as men, right? This is why capitalism is so important, right? Because cap, you go back to even the earliest days in civilization, right? As men, one of the greatest driving factors of us as human beings, what defines us, is our competitive nature. That's testosterone right there. That makes us want to be competitive. So regardless of whatever type of system you put in place, there's always going to, you can never get rid of that competitive spirit in a human being. Like, the greatest of us have, and the most successful of us have that competitive spirit, and you'll never be able to take that away.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, babe,
Well,
sorry, just getting back to the Bud
let's get
Crawford
back to this
Canelo
fight, because
fight.
we, as we always
We're
do,
off track.
we let me address this real quick. What are my
Mhm.
thoughts on communism? Well, again, you have to understand something in life, and again, everything that's most of what's being said
My
today.
sure is not a communist, though.
He says he's a communist. He'll
He
openly
is.
tell you he is. Yeah.
Oh,
So
right. Okay.
when people tell you they're a communist, it's basically an ideology. So, B, what's an ideology? What an ideology really represents and means to me, it's almost like a religion, right? Because with ideology is what somebody wants to be or how they think something should be, but it doesn't mean how it can be or how it will be or how it would be. So when you look, Tulsi Gabbard said something before, and I don't know if she was the creator of this, but she said, we need to live in the world we have, not the world we want. Communism is basically an ideology, meaning it's what you believe the way something should be. It's what you believe, or it's what you want the world to be, or how you think something should be. But in reality, even if you did have communism where the government controls everything, right? We had that in China with the Great Leap Forward. They made that decision to take a lot of the finances, a lot of the resources away from the rural areas, and they put it into the larger urban areas. And what happened? Everyone got destroyed in the rural areas. And the case in point, you had starvation, right? So my position is this: even in socialism, someone has to sit at the top and pass out the money. So there's always going to be somebody in control. There's always going to be someone at the top. And anyone can be corrupted in any system. So because a system is not perfect, that doesn't mean you destroy the system and tear it down and throw something in its place. Because even the government works with big business. Like the big business and government entities go hand in hand. I could tell you stories about how, you know, certain people are able to sidestep certain regulations because of their position, right? So you could say we're going to divide all the money up, but who decides who gets what and who's the guy passing out that money? You don't think there's going to be bias? There's always going to be bias, nepotism, favoritism in anything, any system. So this notion that you're going to devise this system and have everything be divided evenly and everyone's equal, and this notion that you're not going to have someone sit atop, like you're not going to have leaders where everyone is equal in a company, that's impossible because not everyone has the ability and the knowledge to be qualified to be able to make decisions in a company. It's not easy to run a company. That's why I believe in unions where you can negotiate with companies, right? The workers should be able to negotiate with companies. I do believe, leveling the playing field, but even with the union, the company, the people who own the company, the people at the top are always going to have that leverage because they are the ones that took the risk, put up the money, right? So,
I think it has advantages and disadvantages.
communism is an idea, it's an ideology, it's a utopia. And what is a utopia? It's a perfect world. I don't believe you could ever have a perfect world, a perfect system, right? Nothing is
Maybe
ever
Monaco. Monaco
perfect.
is not bad. I've been to Monaco. It's a pretty. I know they have a low population. However, with just want to lightly touch on this. Communism has served well in China and Russia. Look, Russia has got over 1,000 embargoes, yet yet the standard of living is still pretty good in relative terms, right?
But they
Imagine
don't have
having.
but they're not a full communist economy.
Oh yeah, but they were like, you know what I mean. It's not like if
Yeah.
the government controls a lot. Same with China, they control a lot.
Well, the
Like
government control. Here's the thing, little penny. Everyone, when they say capitalism, the United States is not a full capitalist country. We're more socialist than we are capitalism. Look how many, like 68% of the people are dependent upon government programs in the United States.
yeah, that's not good. That's not
So
good.
we're not a full capitalist country. I don't. I mean, I'm not against a social safety net. I think certain people need to be helped. So this notion that you just let everyone die, that's not what America does. We have food stamps here. We have unemployment benefits here. We have a lot of these states do have free health care for people who are poverty level. We have what's called mass health here in Massachusetts, where if you're living at or below the poverty level, you will get government
Yeah,
provided health insurance.
you
So
got the
this notion
ghettos.
that this notion that we're a full capitalist country and we just let the poor die, it's not true.
But I do think over the century, the ideology that stood the test of time is capitalism.
I
Like
believe so as well.
there is a point where socialism and what's the other word? Russia. What's the other?
Communism.
Communism,
Communism.
yeah, it does run its course, but then because with capitalism it allows like the It allows the successful companies to succeed. Whereas in communism, even though it allows bad companies to also succeed, but in the long term, those companies will fail. Whereas in capitalism, then they won't, because it's about competition. It has buyers and sellers. Whereas like uh, uh, socialism and communism, it's controlled by us one central figure. But yeah, but there are times where communism will win out. For example, for if you want to build a bridge really quick, like if you want to build it within like 3 months, a communist country can do that. Whereas a capitalist country, they cannot do that. It will last like 3 years because of the
Listen,
unions. They want to negotiate. I want sick leave. All
communism, because government does have some type of authority in a society, that doesn't constitute communism. Because, yeah, Elon Musk does get a lot of government grants, but he's providing a service to the government, right? So, again, government will always serve its purpose. The United States is not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic, meaning the government does make decisions for us. We can't vote on every single piece of legislation because that's what a full democracy would be. We can vote on our leaders, but even in those instances, we don't always have full control over who we could vote on. Look at Kamala Harris. She didn't was that a democratic process? Did she win a primary to become the candidate? No. So again, this whole thing that we're like democracy, that everyone has a say. I mean, it's not true. The government, if the government feels as though there's an emergency, they have the authority at any time to step in and enforce legislation. Hence, COVID, right? And then these people can say whatever they want about, oh well, this guy's a fascist, the other guy. What has happened over time, right? And I'm going to just explain this to you. Go back to the Iraq War, right? When they voted on the Iraq War, Congress did, and predominantly just about almost everyone voted in favor of that war. They got it wrong, and they were embarrassed by that.
not
So
in the
as
UN. Not in the
as
UN.
time
The UN
as
said
time
no.
as time went on, right? When you look at legislation that has been put forth in the United States, and you look at history recently in politics, all of these presidents over time, more and more, put forth so many executive orders, and then you have so much legislation where you put in these emergency statutes, these emergency acts, right? It's almost as if Congress over time has relinquished a lot of their power, and they themselves have transferred it to the executive branch. Because even Biden, when he tried to use emergency acts to forgive student loan debt, right? Um, Even he, when companies weren't adhering to the DEI policy, he was withholding federal funding. So these both sides love to say, "Oh, well, this side is becoming uh, has too much power. The executive branch has too much power." Even when Obama was president, they were criticizing him for all the executive orders he did. But the problem is they don't really care about that because they don't want the responsibility. Because when they get it wrong, they don't want to be criticized. They'd rather have the executive branch be criticized. So that's why they came up with all these emergency powers acts and stuff like that, so they could shift the blame to the executive office. And depending upon which party has the president. So if the Democrats have the president, then the Congress is going to be like, oh yeah, let him do the executive orders. Oh, he's right. So it all depends on who has the power, because both sides are hypocritical. It's okay when the president in power of their party is the one doing all the executive orders. They have no problem with it. So Congress did this to themselves. They've weakened their power over time, and they were the ones that strengthened the executive branch. So they're the reason why we have what we have today. Oh well, why is this guy doing this? Why is this guy doing that? Well, why did you create all this legislation that gave the president emergency powers then? Why did you create the environment where the president could do this? That's your fault, right? So again, it is what it is.
All right. Okay, there's a few people here who don't like us to talk about politics. Okay, so let's get back to
Let's
boxing.
go back
What I
to the
was
box.
okay. So what I was saying before, I think for Bud, if he wins this fight, it will change the narrative about his legacy. Because you know a lot of these things that weren't talked about, it will now be talked about. I'll give you an example. When Pacquiao was fighting at 130, when he was fighting against Morales, Barrera, and Marquez, they never really mentioned that fight with Labuaba or his 112 lineal title. Because he won the ring and WBC 112 pound against that Thailand guy, right? However, once he moved up two weight classes and fought De La Hoya, then they started talking about his history. Like they started talking about, oh, how great that Lebuaba. I didn't even know at the time that he was a 2 weeks notice. I only knew it once they had the 24/7 on the Pacquiao Hatton after Pacquiao beat De La Hoya. Now with Bud, if he beats Canelo, people are going to start looking at like, you know what? That Postol guy at 140, man, he was pretty good. That 135 fight against Gamboa, where Gamboa took him to the deep waters, quote unquote. They're gonna start mentioning all of these previous fights, like where you start like nitpicking. Oh, that was great because now he's a great fighter. He's in that He's in that Mayweather Pacquiao class if he beats Canelo. So that's what's at stake for Bud. Now, if Canelo wins, I don't think it will do anything. Like,
He's in a no. Canelo is in a no-win
yeah,
situation. This
he'll get
fight
money though.
does. This fight does nothing for him outside of money,
Yeah,
right?
and it
And
said
that's
if he wins, it sets up a Chris Eubank, another big money fight for Canelo, which is again this fight with Bud. I didn't want to see this fight. I wanted to see Canelo Benavidez, but
everyone did.
Bud Canelo okay. Even with this Chris Eubank fight, I will watch it because both guys have personalities, especially Chris Eubank Jr. I
Listen,
will watch that fight, and it will be
I
a big money
understand.
fight too.
I understand. Once again, I understand the criticism of Eubank Jr., the resume, whatever. I get it. I get it. But he's very. I've always liked Chris Eubank Jr. He's given us exciting fights. He's his personality. I think he's hilarious.
And he's
He's
vulnerable.
hilarious.
That's because when he fought Ben, uh, what's his first name?
Connor
Ben
Ben.
Connor
Connor Ben.
Ben. I thought I never thought that Chris Eubank Jr. was okay in that fight. He is so vulnerable because we saw him get knocked out against Smith, right? Who was a 154 fighter who didn't have a lot of punching power. Yeah, he got knocked out. And in a way, when you're vulnerable, kind of like Amir Khan. Amir Khan was very vulnerable, and you're always on the edge of your seat because you think that this guy is going to get knocked out. That's to me that is entertainment. And for him, like Khan and Eubank, they do put themselves in danger, right? And that to me is entertainment. I want to see that. People want to see, obviously, people want to see knockouts, but they want you to see that you put yourself in danger. That's what I was saying before, Bibbs, with running around in the ring, like with Lara. He never put himself in danger, which is fine for you guys, but not for us. Us
You don't
Filipinos.
think when he stopped and he was pot shotting, right? When he planted his feet and he was like peppering Canelo with shots and snapping his head back on certain occasions. You don't think there was opportunities there for Canelo?
Dude, to us, pot shotting is running around in the ring. That's
You
our
don't like it.
culture. No, we don't like it, and we don't want to see it either.
Well,
Us
let's look
Filipinos,
at let's look at let's
Japanese,
look at your,
Mexicans,
let's
we
look at
don't
the
want to see
types of
that
fighters.
shit.
Let's look at the types of fighters like you look at a David Tua, right? Or he's a
Chris?
guy like you guys like the guys who fight up close. You don't like out fighting. You don't
No, we
like
don't.
out boxers. You don't like
When, when,
outboxers.
Even Manny Pacquiao said Tim Bradley was running around, and Tim Bradley was like, "I wasn't running around," but that's because Tim Bradley was pot shotting. We
You like
because
close range. You like close range
yes,
fighting,
yeah,
mid
like
range to
how
inside
Chavez.
fighting,
Yeah,
which is a
yeah, yeah.
preference. Which
Yeah,
is a
that's our
preference.
preference. Yeah, yeah. Because we don't see it when I see two Filipinos fighting, they go toe to toe. Same thing when two Japanese fighters, they go toe to toe. Same thing with Mexicans.
Listen,
You go
most people are going to agree with you. You're right. You're right.
no, there
But
are outliers. There are like boxers who aren't like like for example, Canelo is not like he's not like a Chavez or a Morales because when Morales gets hit, he'll try and hit you back, right? Canelo is probably not like that. I do remember like when Triple G hit him in the first fight, he was still kind of like a bit hesitant. You know what I mean? There are outliers but in general, right? That's the reason why Mexicans, Filipinos, and Japanese fighters, when they see someone who's pot shotting, we immediately say, "Nah, he's running around in the ring." I know for you guys, you don't see that, like because you're used to like these swim without getting wet theory. We don't want to. Even British fighters in general, they go toe to toe. There's not too many counter punches like Ricky Hatton, for example. You know what I mean? Frank Bruno. These guys are all like,
even though Lennox Lewis early on was an outboxer, he started adding wrinkles to his game where he would shorten up the right hand, throw that sneaky uppercut on the inside. Um, so he evolved over the years, and somewhat, I dare say this, hoping not to offend anybody, he did somewhat Americanize his style a little bit.
you did.
You know what I mean? He got rid of that prototypical, basic, straight up 1-2 outside type fighter that has been
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
because
UK,
he got,
a lot of European
yeah.
slash UK
That's
fighters
because he got
were
knocked out again.
labeled.
That's because he got knocked out against two C plus fighters. So he had to change. Same thing with Manny. After Marquez knocked him out cold, he kind of like counterpunched a little bit, like because I remember people remember Pacquiao at 122, 126, and 130, even 135. If he got hit, he will get you back. Like not in
Do
the
you
next
do
round,
you
in that
think
same round.
do you think some people are saying this, and I don't know, I kind of makes me give it a second thought. I can't dismiss this totally. Do you think that Barrios went easy on Manny Pacquiao and let up on him?
Yes, yeah,
And
too much respect.
do you
Too much.
think that he approached that fight as if he wanted to win, or do you think he said, "I'm going to just go through the motions here"?
I think he didn't go for the win.
Yeah,
Now I do think Pacquiao hits
it's
hard
all.
though.
I'm not gonna like. I don't want to say that they had a. It was scripted, but
No, he wasn't
I
scripted.
do believe you may be able, because Ring IQ did bring this up, and it made me think. I mean, I kind of thought about it a little bit. I said to myself, did this guy really go all out? Did he try to beat Manny Pacquiao, or was he just there just to kind of go through the motions and not really try to win the fight? Right. So I said, but Ring IQ did make some good points, and made me think about it a little bit more. Was that I'm not gonna say it was fixed, but
No, it wasn't fixed.
did he was there a silent agreement there, or at
No, there
least on
wasn't.
his?
No, no, no. He just showed too much respect, right? And I feel like he now Chris Algieri because he has a platform. He even Tim Bradley. They say Manny Pacquiao does hit hard. So if you try and go in there with guns blazing, he will hit you where you know what I mean. Even at that age, when you go now, Pacquiao can't chase anyone.
Do you think he carried Manny Pacquiao?
No, I don't think he carried him. I just think he showed too much respect. Kind of, it reminds me when Canelo fought a washed up Cotto and when he fought a washed up Mosley. Dude, Canelo could have he could have upped the ante. but he didn't because he knows he
Do you
respected those guys.
do you think Canelo is going to turn into a seek and destroy fighter
He
in
has to.
this fight?
He has to.
Do you think
He ha-
he's going to
or else
walk
he'll get
Crawford?
outboxed.
Do you think he's going to walk Crawford down and
I
just
do. I
o-
do.
overwhelm?
Because
You think he's going to walk him down and overwhelm him?
yes, I do. I do.
Can
Because
you name
he's
a
got the
fight?
chin.
Can you name a fight in his career where he's ever done that?
Yeah, the Triple G rematch. He walked him down. Triple G was backing up the whole fight. And Triple G's got a really powerful, he's more powerful than Bud Crawford is.
Okay, then why was that? Because I still had Triple G winning that second fight because of the jab.
Okay, I had
Now,
Canelo winning in the second fight. I thought he won. I thought he lost the first fight, but I thought he won the second fight.
did you have him clearly winning that second fight?
I had it because you know me. I don't score round by round. Because I've seen so many fights
Could
in
you
my
make an
life.
argument? Could you make an argument that Golovkin won that fight?
Yeah, maybe a draw, Beebs, because he was
All right,
on his back foot all the time. I was very surprised because before that fight he was talking like Mexican boxing style, and he was teasing Canelo about his drug use, like he's a cheater, and also Triple G wanted an extra 2 million for that fight because of the
but
cheating,
but
and
did
he,
he
and he
really?
didn't bring it.
Now
He didn't bring it.
he fought more aggressively in that fight. But was he really walking Golovkin down?
Well,
Because
of
if he
course.
was walking Golovkin down, then he would have dominated him. Like Golovkin was still for the most part in a lot of instances in that fight keeping him at bay with that jab, right?
Yes.
So you may argue he tried to walk him down, and you may argue maybe in a few spots here and there he may have had success. But has he ever been able to consistently walk someone down? Like, for instance, Mayweather was walking him down and backing him up for large portions of that fight, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Chico Corrales, we've seen Mayweather actually walk down Corrales in that fight. So, like, have we ever really seen Canelo go all out in a fight and walk somebody down? I just don't think we have. I
But the
just
thing
that's
is,
just
Beebs, he doesn't have an option. If he
that's just
doesn't walk him down,
his,
right?
his mentality is this. Now, I'm not going to say he didn't step to Canelo. Excuse me, step to Crawford. Crawford, excuse me. I'm not saying he didn't step to Golovkin more in the second fight than he did in the first fight. But did he do that? Did he sustain that type of style the whole fight? Did he really press Golovkin the whole like
Yeah.
that's just not his like he is a counterpuncher by nature first. It is not his instinct to try to walk somebody down. And if you give Crawford space, which I believe Canelo will do in this fight, that jab is going to have a lot of success for Crawford. He's going to have a lot of success with that
Yeah.
jab.
But Beebs, look, Canelo's been around in the game for so long. He has faced every single style out there, right? So he knows that if he tries to counterpunch Crawford, he will lose, right? Because he knows that Bud Crawford is a better counterpuncher than he is. As you can see, a perfect example is Mayweather and Juan Manuel Marquez, both counterpunchers, right? The Mayweather is better at counterpunching than Juan Manuel Marquez, and you'd think that okay, Marquez is a pretty good counterpuncher himself. You'd think that the fight was maybe like 8-4, but it wasn't. It was 10. It was 12-0 because when you have two counterpunchers fighting together, the one who's faster or better, he will win every round. Canelo knows this, so he has to go into the Amir Khan fight mode or that who's that guy that he knocked out cold in San Antonio? I keep forgetting his name. His trainer was a woman. what was his name again?
James Kirkland. James
Yeah, he
Kirkland.
has to go into that James Kirkland mode, or the Caleb Plant mode, or the Billy Joe Saunders mode. Because if he
But
doesn't,
again, Caleb Plant is another ambush in and out style mid range guy who came to Canelo. Caleb Plant has some similarities to Billy Joe Saunders, where obviously he's not a southpaw, but he's a guy who likes to go in and out. Like he he's not Caleb Plant's not a pot shotter. He's not a pot shotter.
but Bibbs, but
Crawford
Crawford
can
is.
Crawford has shown the ability in a lot of fights to be a pot shot. He was pot shotting a little bit in the Spence fight. Like he is a pot shotter. He can be a pot shotter. Whereas I don't all the pot shotters. Let me list the guys who I think are really good pot shotters that Canelo fought. Lara, Mayweather, Bivol. That's the similarity. Oh well, Bivol was big. So was
Was
Caleb. So was Caleb Smith. But Caleb Smith, even though he's a jab, he likes to step in. He's not a big mover. He likes to step forward. He likes to fight in the mid range. That's why Ryder. I thought Ryder beat Caleb Smith in their fight, which was a very controversial, close fight, because Smith likes to fight in the mid range, even though he's a tall, long guy. He's a guy who loves to throw that left hook. He likes to throw those mid range punches. He's not a guy who likes to just sit there and box. Like I seen Crawford do it in a lot of his fights, just pot shot. Like, even against Madrimov, later in the fight, he started just saying, you know what? He stopped biting on the feints and he just kind of just took like that half step forward. He's like, pop, pop, pop. He pot shots. He fights at range very well, right? And he's quick enough where he can make that little subtle movement, like step here, step there, pop, 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 pop. There's only a handful of guys that Canelo fought that did that, right? And I don't think Canelo has mastered that style yet.
Also, Canelo is not gonna go in there like walk him down like Darchinyan did to Nonito Donaire. Canelo Alvarez is smarter than that. Canelo is probably gonna follow Pacquiao's blueprint when he fought Cotto, where he did it in
Spurts,
in spurts. But when you get him
in spots,
inside,
in spots.
where he's got the advantage, where it's his size, that's where he'll take advantage, right? I don't think Bud Crawford can hurt Canelo at all, because Canelo's got a chin, and his chin is.
Did Mayweather hurt Canelo?
I don't know if like I don't. I didn't. I was
Did
Bibbs. I
Bivol,
was at that fight. I don't think you could. I don't think Mayweather could knock him out though. Like
did
I thought.
Bivol did Bivol hurt Canelo?
Nah, I don't think he hurt him. I think
Did
he
Triple
like
G hurt Canelo?
no, no,
Did Lara hurt Canelo?
no.
So can you win a fight without significant, like when you say hurt? Define, because I don't think. Shout out to my man Joshua Jernigan, aka Ashy Knuckles. All punches hurt, right? No one likes getting hit. Like no one's gonna say, "Oh, this
Nah,
feels good."
hurt,
But when you
hurt.
say Canelo has never been hurt.
Oh,
So
he
can
has. He
you
has like against Cotto. Cotto's
once?
brother.
So can you win? Can you win a fight without hurting him?
See, this is the
Do you
culture
have
again.
do you have to
Your
hurt him?
definition of hurt is different to my definition of hurt. For me, a hurt is someone like, say, for example, when Pacquiao knocked down Cotto the first time, Cotto wasn't hurt. Yeah, he got knocked down. It was a really good punch that he didn't see, but he wasn't hurt. Like, but the second time that Pacquiao knocked down Cotto, he was definitely hurt. You can see it on his legs. That's what I mean by hurt.
Right, but you can't envision Crawford hitting him enough times where eventually it's gonna start. He's gonna start feeling
Yeah,
it.
of course. But Canelo's gonna hit him.
You can't envision Crawford maybe hitting him with a punch that he doesn't see or he's not prepared for, where it may get his like the notion that this is what I find a little weird. And you're not the only one. Most people are saying what you're saying. I'm of the minority here in my position. Full disclosure, I concede that point. But the notion that like Canelo's just gonna walk through everything Crawford throws, and it's like he's going to be fighting Paulie Malignaggi in there. With all due respect to Paulie Malignaggi, the way this is being framed is a little bit outlandish to me. I have to say, like he's just going to walk through everything Crawford throws, and
Well,
it's
like
gonna
like when
like this is like it's almost like a battering ram going up against a
Right.
feather duster.
Bibs, hold a second. You're not talking about when Ricky Hatton walked down Paulie Malignaggi the whole fight. Are you talking about that? Because he won't be able to do that to Bud Crawford.
The way this is being framed is Canelo's going to hit him with one shot, and Crawford's just going to fall apart. I don't know. Listen, is Canelo like? There's some crazy people out there trying to tell me, oh, well, Crawford, Canelo are the same size. Crawford's bigger than no. Canelo's bigger. My question
Of course,
is, how much bigger is he? 7 pounds, maybe.
Bud Crawford start at 130? Canelo started at 147.
No,
That's
no. Let
or one,
Canelo turned pro at 139 pounds. Now, granted, he was 15, right?
that doesn't count, man.
But
Like
Canelo, when in 5 years into his career, was 147 pounds,
yeah,
right?
that's where he started.
Bud Crawford turned pro at 137. Canelo turned pro at 139. If you go back and you look at these guys at, say, 2010, 2011 ish, right? Canelo was 147 pounds. Bud was like 138, 130. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think they're about seven or 8 pounds apart. They're not like 20. Like this is not a gig. This is not a crazy size advantage for Canelo. Is what I'm trying to say.
But Bud hasn't fought at 168. Like Canelo has been fighting at 168 for nearly 5 years.
I get
Like
it.
with bigger
I get
guys.
it.
Like even with Golovkin, not
I get
Golovkin,
it.
that Russian dude. What's his name again, Beefs? The Russian
Kovalev.
Kovalev
Kovalev.
and Bivol. Whereas when at that time, Bud Crawford was still at 147, fighting like Amir Khan and Kell Brook. He didn't. Now in all of his fights, right, with Bud Crawford, he has been hit. It's not like he's a Mayweather where he can hardly
Well,
hit.
Canelo's been hit too.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone's gonna get
yeah, of course, of course.
when you fight at
He's
this level.
Mexican, man. Of course, he's gonna get
When
hit.
you fight at this level and you fight good competition, you're gonna get hit. But this
Yeah,
notion that like here's another thing. People are talking about Crawford like he's a Toro Gotti. I just don't like. Have you ever seen anyone piece up Terrence Crawford?
no, no.
So this like, what do you mean he gets hit a lot?
He does get hit a lot. He gets
Define
hit.
define get hit a lot. Like, does he take chances
Like,
and sometimes he'll get caught with a good shot here and there? To me, that's not get hit a lot. Like if
yeah,
like
but what I'm
when,
saying
when
is
he's fighting somebody, he feels he can overpower, that he's bigger and stronger than.
he won't be able
That,
to do that with Canelo.
but he doesn't. But he doesn't have to.
Of course, all right, okay, but then Canelo will bring it to him. He has to do it. Like if someone
When
is
has
doing
Canelo ever brought it to somebody?
Triple G rematch.
I don't even think he brought it to him. I think they both met each other in this. Here's the thing.
Nah, he
Yeah,
was in the back foot,
he
man.
okay, but they met each other in the center of the ring and they exchanged more. He did not step to Triple G and push him back the whole fight. He he.
Now,
So the difference is, instead of backing up in the second Triple G fight, he met him in the center. That's the
he
difference.
was backing up. I don't think he met him
I
in the
don't know
center.
if
He
he
was
was
backing up,
backing.
man.
I
Kind
don't
of
think
like
he
when
was.
Canelo was backing up in the first fight, right? Now, because this is the narrative in the in that the build up to that rematch.
So you
Triple
think he
G's
was?
Triple
You
G
think
wanted him. Triple G even went to the Mexican television network and said, "I want Mexican boxing. I want Canelo to
so?
stand in
You
the
think
ring and stop backing up because you're
you
Mexican."
think
And
you
and then
think?
Canelo brought her in the second fight, and it was him that was backing up.
I am not
You hear
saying
me?
Canelo did not come forward, but Canelo did not go all the way full throttle balls to the walls, in the pocket with Triple G. They met in the center of the ring, and there was more exchanges. But he was not walking Golovkin down. He was still getting tagged with a lot of jabs, and in a lot of instances, he was getting frozen. Right. So did he go deep in the chest of Triple G and slug it out with Triple G? No. He met him in the center of the ring. So there's this misconception that just because he didn't back up like he was doing, because he came forward and he came forward and met him in the center of the ring. It wasn't like that he was walking and pushing Triple G back. I don't think he walked him down.
But what I'm saying is, yes, Canelo does get hit, but that's because he's Mexican. Mexicans usually get hit anyway, right? So that's not something that we should even be debating about. What we should be debating about is Crawford. He gets hit too, man. He gets hit too. In fact, he gets knocked down too as well. And he got wobbled with Gamboa. Look, if Gamboa, that 135 fight, Gamboa did wobble his feet. Now it's because Gamboa is not an elite fighter.
Hit him with a shot. Hit him with a shot he didn't see.
Yeah.
Is
Look,
Canelo going to be able to hit him with a shot he doesn't see? He's not prepared for.
he might. He might.
He could.
He might.
He could.
Canelo's an elite fighter, dude. He's an elite fighter. He was number one.
Again, I don't think Canelo's an elite fighter. I think he's a great fighter. My definition of elite is I have a higher standard for elite. I don't think we in my era, like in this, let's go back. Maybe Pacquiao and Mayweather were the last two elite fighters.
Roy Jones, dude, he was elite. Bernard Hopkins was elite as well.
I don't know if I want to call them. Well,
Roy Jones wasn't elite. Come on, man. Roy Jones was definitely elite. In fact,
all right. My problem with Roy Jones is this is my problem with Roy Jones. He didn't fight Nigel Benn. He didn't fight Steve Collins. He didn't fight. He didn't fight Chris Eubank. He didn't fight Sven Oteki. Now, Roy Jones was a great fighter. Do I want to say he's elite? I don't know. He was a great. These guys are great. See, there's a fine line between elite and great. Now, at super middleweight, could Roy Jones potentially be great? Could be elite. I mean, he lost to Joe Calzaghe.
Yeah, but he was no longer in his prime though. But Vince, I do know what you mean. But I'm going to give you two different fighters that he really ducked, right? Because those Nigel Benn fights, no one wanted to see those fights. The fights that people really wanted Roy Jones to fight
Gerald
in
McClellan?
the late 1990s and
Gerald
early
McClellan?
2000s.
He didn't fight Gerald McClellan?
It was a rematch against Bernard Hopkins. That was the fight that people, and also a rematch with Andrew Toney. Those were the fights that we really wanted to see.
James Toney.
Yeah, Jameson. What did I say?
Andrew, it's okay.
Andrew Toney. Oh,
You're
sorry.
You're thinking about the Sixers, the basketball.
Great player, by the way. Ruined by injuries, kind of like same with Penny Hardaway.
Anyway, you could argue.
Agree with you. He did duck those.
I will say this. You could argue that Roy Jones was elite at 168, but again, he was never undisputed. Why was he undisputed at 168? He was undisputed. He was undisputed at light heavyweight. He was undisputed at light heavyweight. I remember that.
I don't think so. Even Mayweather wasn't undisputed at any weight class. Same with Pacquiao. No one, De La Hoya even wasn't undisputed. No, at that time, no one. It wasn't something that people wanted to do, because they were just at that time. People were after great fights, because if you become undisputed, you have to fight like a nobody from the IBF.
I can't believe I'm doing this because I'm responding because I'm in a good mood today. I'll respond to some of these ridiculous comments. Bro, you won't last a minute in the ring against my teenage daughter. What type of fighter would have his daughter fight a 6'1", 205-pound?
Aren't you in your 50s there? Aren't you in your 50s?
Are you gonna even say why would you want your teenage daughter to fight a grown man? What kind of sick individual are you that you would want your teenage daughter
By the way, speaking of
to fight a grown man?
By the way, there's a new movie coming out soon. It's called Christy. I think it's Christy.
Christy Martin, and guess who's playing her part?
Yeah, Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney Sweeney. She put on a
Oh,
whole
I
bunch of
can't wait.
weight.
I can't wait for this movie. I think this movie is going to be a great movie. Kind of like underrated. Kind of like when Cinderella Man came out. It was very underrated, and it was such a great movie. I love that movie. I've seen it at
Yeah, but
least
you just
50
want to
times.
see this movie because you want to look at the jugs.
Nah. I just like good boxing movies. Like I didn't watch those Creed movies. I don't like those. I did like Rocky 1 to Rocky 4, and I love Cinderella Man. What else? I like The Fighter, where it was about
Mickey Ward,
Mickey Ward. Yeah.
guy
What
from my
else?
neck of the woods.
I also like that movie in the 70s where it was played by Robert De Niro. What was that?
Raging Bull.
Raging Bull. Yep. Oh man, that was too real for me. Like it was too brutal. It was too real. Like it wasn't like a Hollywood movie. It's more like a documentary. I also like The Great White Hope by that guy who's played Darth Vader. You know, people see that voice, the Darth Vader. What's his name? I think he's dead now. It's Earl Jones.
Earl
He
Jones,
played
yeah.
he played Jack Johnson in that movie. That was a good movie too. You should watch that. That's really good. It's a movie about Jack Johnson. But
Fury.
yeah, I didn't like those Creed movies. Did you watch those Creed movies? I hated them.
I liked the first one. I didn't like the other ones.
I thought they're a bit cringe. Like I was thinking, oh, because I think it's because I'm into boxing too much, and like you see like flaws, kind of like with X Men. I used to play X Men. I used to read X Men magazines, and I do like the movies, but I see like, hold on a second, these two are mother and daughter. How come they don't know each other? It's like, huh? Because I know them. You know what I mean? Like for example, that there's some characters in some movies where they are a father and daughter, yet they don't know each other. It's like, what the hell? Anyways, but yeah, that's a really good movie. It's coming up. I can't wait to see that movie, man. I hear it's going to be really good. And
What the
and you
what
know
the
what?
the Christy Martin movie you're talking about?
Yeah. And you know what? Sydney Sweeney was in Manny Pacquiao's Hall of Fame speech because Christy Martin was there and she wanted to feel like what it's like to be like in a with the boxing
Listen,
people.
that's going to be that's going to be a game changer for Sydney Sweeney.
Sydney
Really.
Sweeney, she's a good actress. Now people know her about her boobs and
If
stuff.
she
She's
nails,
a good
think
actress.
about this, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong here. If she is able to nail this role,
Oscar,
this could
Oscar.
be this could be
Yeah,
an inflection point in her
yeah,
career.
yeah.
This
Kind of like with Jodie Foster when she was in that scary movie with Hannibal.
Car-
It kind of like
Carrie.
no. You remember Hannibal? What's that movie, guys? What's that?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah,
Uh,
Silence of the
Silence
Lambs.
of the Lambs. Yeah, where it's like like you know, like she's always remembered for that. Clarice. Like people actually think that her name is Clarice, not Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing here. Because I think you're right. If she nails this role, because usually people, a lot of movie goers, they don't treat her seriously because of her boobs, because it's so
Yeah,
much.
that's the problem when you're attractive like that. Your appearance can sometimes overshadow your ability, and that can be a problem, for somebody, right?
Yeah, but she's. I have seen a few of her movies. She's a good actress, man.
Yeah, she's a decent actress, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
when is that movie coming out?
I think they just had the premiere because I saw in Christy Martin's feed that she was dressed up in a red carpet. So I'm guessing I don't think it's out yet. It's just they're just doing the rounds, like they go to cons. You know what I mean? Uh, it's called pre-production because you know they'll let like 100 people see it, and if they don't like certain things, then they'll edit it. Kind of like with what's that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he went to Mars? Total
Uh,
Recall.
what do we call it?
They did a lot of edit based on what people thought. Like even like Top Gun. Top Gun didn't have a sex scene, right? With Tom Cruise and McGillis. But when they did the pre-production, a lot of people thought, "Hey, this movie is missing a sex scene," so they had to reshoot it. So it's the same thing here. I think that's what they're doing. But anyways, but be sorry. Just getting back to Canelo Crawford. I even though this is not the fight that I wanted to see because I really wanted to see.
Are you trying to get excited for this fight as your? Because I'll be honest,
I am
I
excited.
I was not right when this first fight was talked about. Right, I was a little mad because I wanted the David Benavidez fight, but I've kind of gotten over that. I've gotten
I
over
am.
it.
Nah, I'm
I've
not gonna
gotten over
forget.
it. I've gotten over it. I still my anger went from disappointment, but I'm not angry anymore because I don't like when the natural order of things has been disrupted, and I think sometimes you need that passing of the torch where you got to give the next generation an opportunity, and I just
Yeah.
felt like Canelo was not willing to do that for whatever reason, which is his choice, but I just didn't like it.
No, it's more of a culture thing, Beebs. Us Filipinos and Mexicans and Japanese, dude, you don't duck anyone. Whoever is next line up, you fight him. You have to. Like Pacquiao didn't want to fight Marquez the fourth time, but he did it anyway. Like probably didn't want to fight like Barrera straight away, but he did it anyway because that's the culture. Like Manny Pacquiao, he couldn't walk in streets of General Santos City without giving Marquez a third fight or even a rematch. He had to do it. Same thing here with Canelo. You have to fight Benavidez because that's the fight that we want you to see. Because we're the ones that are paying for the pay per view. You're just there like in fighting. We're the ones that are paying for the pay per view. So look, if he doesn't do it, it's fine, but it will cost a bit of his legacy. Like 50 years from now, or even not maybe not 50, maybe 20 years from now, people are gonna remember that. Like the Pacquiao Mayweather, where it's 5 years too late. 10 years, it's now been 10 years. People are still saying that. And it's affecting his Mayweather's legacy because, as you're saying before, Beebs, Mayweather still wants that public approval that he's better than Pacquiao
He
in
just
terms of
wants
career,
he
which
wants
is not.
attention. He cannot stand being out of the public eye. He can't stand being out of the limelight. When you
But
look at
he reminds me of LeBron James, Beebs, where he wants the public to know that he's the goat. You're not the goat, dude. And he keeps telling the public this. Like, for example, when people say, Floyd, Pacquiao's got a better career than you, which is true. He keeps like bringing things up, like he wants the approval of the public. Whereas Manny doesn't give a crap
Mike
about.
Tyson, Mike Tyson could go anywhere in the world
Yes,
and be loved,
yes,
admired, and recognized. I'm going to
yes.
say something
Same
extremely
with
con.
Pacquiao.
I'm going to say Pacquiao's another one. I'm going to say something extremely controversial. People may disagree with this. I think Mike Tyson is the second most famous boxer in the history of the sport of all time, behind Muhammad Ali.
Jack Dempsey was pretty popular, dude, in the
Not like
20s.
Mike Tyson. Not
I
like
know,
Mike
man.
Tyson.
Like, yeah.
Not like
If
Mike
you ask
Tyson.
Mike Tyson, he'll probably say Jack Dempsey because he loves Jack Dempsey.
Mike
So
Tyson is probably the second most globally recognized fighter of all time because he did an exhibition with Roy Jones over a
no, even
million,
in his prime, dude, he was
over a
super
mil-
popular.
like look at Mayweather's exhibitions right now, and then look at Mike Tyson's exhibitions. More
Now,
people
dude,
are
dude,
more people love Mike Tyson now than love Mayweather.
because he went through hardships. You got to go through hardships. Like if you go through undefeated, no one's gonna like you, man. Like, also when in Mike Tyson's prime, he went to Russia just for a visit, and they had a parade for him because he was that popular. Now Mayweather can't do that.
Turkey Al Sheikh doesn't even invite Mayweather to those Riyadh season cards. Doesn't even like the guy. Listen, I respect Mayweather. I think he's the greatest boxer of my era, right? But I just don't like the guy. I just don't think that he's just not a likable guy to me. I don't like him.
Also, in terms of achievements, he didn't achieve what Pacquiao achieved. Pacquiao has more achievements than him because numbers don't lie. 8 division world champion versus 4, 5
Well,
lineals.
again, I'm not going to be a hater, but I would say Pacquiao's probably a six division world champion, not
or
an eight.
whatever it is. Like but it still beats him. Like Pacquiao was a champion in 4 different decades. Mayweather was only three, I think. You know what I mean? Pacquiao started at
No,
120. It's like the numbers don't lie.
Pacquiao had great rivalries too.
That's
The
right.
trilogy. This is what makes a great fighter too. When you have rivalries,
Yes.
when you have great, memorable series of fights.
In
Like
their primes.
like Mayweather never had that great series of fights where people go back. Like everyone goes back and says, "Look at those Marquez fights. Look at those Morales fights." Right? They're
Barrera.
all the Barrera fight. Like people can go
Bradley
back
even.
and they can look at Pacquiao and say this guy's had some historic, memorable fights. Mayweather's never. Well, Mayweather did have a great fight against Chico Corrales, but it was so one-sided that like he's just never had. He's never had that rival, and it's so sad when you think about it, right? Because if they did fight early, right? If they did fight early, Mayweather and Pacquiao,
Yeah,
they
2010.
they could have had
Oh yeah, for
they could have
sure.
had a series of fights where people could look back and say, "Look at that! Look at this! Look at that! Look at this!"
Or when Cotto first fought Margarito, Mayweather should have fought him, but he chose to fight Zab Judah instead. Why?
Imagine if Mayweather fought that version of Martinez that Cotto fought. And I told everyone, and I got laughed at when I was on the
I was
boxing
at that
board.
fight, by the way, Beebs, in
What?
Madison Square Garden.
You were there?
The Cotto Martinez fight. I was at that fight.
Oh, great. Everyone was laughing at me. I picked Cotto in that fight when I was on the boxing voice.
I picked Martinez, and for
And the
the.
reason why I picked Cotto was because I saw Martinez's legs. They were showing training footage of this guy. Both his legs were wrapped up in ace bandages. He had knee braces on for both fights. He was doing his cardio on an elliptical, right? I said, this guy's legs are gone. I just thought Cotto was going to win that fight, and I got laughed at. Oh, what about the size? What about the size?
Just getting back to if Mayweather fought Cotto in 2007, 2008, they would have had a rivalry too. They probably would have had a trilogy or a rematch. Same with Pacquiao. Same with Mosley. They should have fought in 2006, right? But he didn't do that. He chose to fight him in 2010, I think. You know, you know what I mean? Like he should have taken that rematch with De La Hoya. He could have easily won that rematch, and then he would have made more. He actually could have made more money in that fight than his fight with Ricky Hatton. That Ricky Hatton fight only did, I think, 850 on pay per view. In that rematches usually do more pay per views than the first fight. In the first fight, I think they did
Depends.
2.2 million. I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then Mayweather would have had a bigger purse too. So I don't know why he didn't take that rematch. He was the favorite. He was the favorite in the first fight. He would have been easily the favorite in the second fight. I don't know why
So
you took that rematch. Like why?
so you're picking Canelo here.
Yes,
Canelo is the prohibitive favorite. He's he's
by decision. By
he's a
decision.
he's a he's a 60-40 favorite here, according to the odds makers. The odds makers are telling you that there's a high probability that this fight is going the distance, right?
Yes.
So it's going to be. Do you think it's going to be a close fight, or do you think Canelo will win this fight clearly? Do you think he'll win this fight definitively, or do you think this fight will be a close fight? Do you think this fight could be a split decision, majority decision? How do you feel
Okay. First
this?
thing, Canelo. Before even the bell rings, I do think Canelo's up 2 rounds, right? So we have to take that into
So you're
account.
factoring in possibly the subconscious bias towards Canelo because of who he
Course.
is.
It's in
Okay.
Las Vegas, dude. It's in Las Vegas. Las Vegas judges, they're like aggressive fighters intrinsically. It's always been the case since the 80s, right? So I do think he's going to walk him down. However, the reason why is because I don't think Bud can hurt Canelo because he's got a chin. And once Bud feels Canelo's power at 168, I do think he's going to run around in the ring a little bit, and Cotto's not going to chase him. I'm thinking Coto's going to think, look, I'm 38 years old. I'm not chasing this guy. So I'm just going to win my 7 rounds. Whatever happens on the other 5 rounds, I don't give a crap. As long as I win 7 rounds, and if he runs around in the ring, I'm not going to chase him. I'm just, we're just going to, I think after the seventh round, it will be like a sparring match, but the first 6 rounds it's going to be like highly competitive. I hope it's like a Pacquiao Miguel Cotto, because we haven't seen a really good fight, because when Canelo fought Triple G, they didn't really go at it like like it wasn't like a toe to toe fight. We want a toe to toe like when Pacquiao and Cotto went toe to toe. We want something like that. Like even
I
with
envision,
Pacquiao Thurman, they didn't really go to toe to toe. Like
I envision Crawford doing a lot of similar things that Lara did, fighting in the southpaw stance, peppering him with the jab from the outside. And I think the one surprise punch that Crawford's going to have in this fight is that right hook. We saw in that Irislandi Lara fight how he was able to surprise Canelo with that right hook. He kept popping him, popping him, popping him. Then he would take that little half step off to the side to his right, and he would kind of loop that right hook over the top. And it was a punch that Canelo had a hard time timing and had a hard time preparing for it. He didn't really see it coming in a lot of instances. And we've seen Crawford throw that punch. We've seen him hurt Cal Brook with it. We've seen him hurt and knock down Errol Spence with it. So I think this fight could be interesting. Do you think this fight will be a chess match? Do you think it'll be because I've heard a lot of people say calling into the show, and last week even I think Jerry said this. He says this fight's not going to be an exciting fight. He thinks it's going to be an uneventful chess match.
I
He
hope
doesn't
not.
think. Yeah. So
I hope it will be like a Cotto Pacquiao in the first 6 rounds where they go at it. I don't want to. I don't want to see a chess match. I've even that Bivol. Who's the other guy that he fought? The other great 175 pounder. What's his name again? The
Kovalev.
no. The other Russian guy. What was his name again? I
Oh,
can't remember.
Beterbiev.
Beterbiev. I thought that they were going to go at it, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I don't want to see any more chess matches. I don't want to. I want to see like a Wilder Fury 3 where they went at it. Where there was several knockdowns. I want to see one of those. You know what I mean? Because if these two do that, it will put boxing on the map again. Like, you know what I mean? Because
Well,
a lot of the big fights that we had, they're all stinkers, man. They're all
Canelo's
stinkers.
Canelo's never been one to bring a high volume of punches to the fight.
Well, this is the fight they should.
He's not a he's shown a tendency to throw less combinations over these last couple fights, and he's been throwing one punch at a time. He's the counter puncher. If you don't press him, he's not going to go chase after you. He's also shown that in recent fights. So Bud's going to have to be the one to. It's up to Bud if this fight's exciting or not, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I don't think Canelo is going to chase him. I don't think he's going to try to um, outwork him in this fight. I think he's going to be looking for perfect punches. He wants to be able to hurt Crawford and freeze him up in his tracks. And then once he hurts him, then he wants to go for the finish. I I don't know. I think the onus is going to be on Crawford to determine how this fight goes. I don't. I already know Canelo. If you don't press him, then he's not going to press you. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the legs anymore. Same thing
I think
Pacquiao
his
did.
legs. He never had the quickest legs. He's never been the best at cutting off the ring. So yeah, I think it's going to be up to Bud to determine how this fight goes. In my opinion, Terrence
I,
is not, Terrence is not the bigger man, and
I am a little worried because I remember when Pacquiao from 2015, or maybe from 2013 to 2020, his legs were weren't that strong and weren't that fast. However, it did show up in that Thurman fight in 2019, in spurts where just win 7 rounds. I feel like Canelo is probably going to do that, where he will
Canelo seems to me
enforce
to just want
his
to do just enough to win these rounds, and he's not really going all out, in my opinion. So
But
it's gonna.
I hope they slug it out like what when Pacquiao and Cotto fought, because when that happens, right, ESPN will say something like, you know what I mean. But if it's a stinker like all these big fights that we had, they're not gonna show that. Because dude, boxing is already like not well liked and not a well liked sport in the first place. So if they have a stinker, and there's so many circus shows out there like already, it's like we're already like on a back foot. So if these two, hopefully, if they slug it out and we see a few knockdowns, at least that will put boxing in a this time around in a positive light. Because usually, when Good America, or like whenever like an NBC Current Affairs, whenever they show boxing, it's always something bad, like a boxer died, a boxer raped a woman. Like, it's always bad news. Like, it's never good news. I think the last time we saw a good news on boxing was when the build up to Pacquiao Mayweather. That was it. That was the last time
Do
that,
you do you agree with this comment? Canelo is always on the front foot. Guys always on their bike. Do you
right?
believe that Canelo is an aggressive
Yeah,
pressing?
but he just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to chase him anymore because he's
So
old
he
now.
may again coming forward and actually pressing somebody are two different things. You could step forward and then stop and not fully try to fully cut off the ring against your opponent. So if you're coming forward and then you're stopping at a certain point and you're not going all the way in and cutting off the ring or going deep into a pocket, like Canelo really hasn't, got in the trenches with anyone in a long, like he just doesn't do that. Stops in the mid range and tries to set a trap, tries to get you. He'll come forward, then he'll stop, throw a feint, try to get you to bite on the feint, and then he'll throw a punch, or he'll try to lull you into opening up first. He's not this pressure, seek and destroy, swarmer type fighter. He's just not that. He's not that guy.
I've seen also the undercard for this fight is pretty bad
All
considering
right,
like
it's not
the
great.
real.
It's not
No, it's
great,
bad.
but it's
It's bad.
not. You know,
Considering the cards that Riyadh season have put through, the undercard is bad. Uh, uh, even the fight before Canelo, who are those two? Like, huh? Do,
yeah,
do you know Gibbs? The fight before Canelo?
yeah. The Liam Walsh fight is a pretty
Who?
decent fight. He's fighting Vargas Jr. Fernando Vargas' son. That's a decent fight. Should be exciting. Sergey Bohachuk is fighting. Well, he's fighting. Not who's he fighting? Brandon Adams. That this guy beat him before. So it's I think no. Did Brandon Adams beat him or who beat? Let me see. Let me double check it. I think this is a rematch. I'm trying to remember if Brandon Adams. I think Brandon Adams knocked out
But by the way, can anyone say
Bohachuk.
if this fight is a seller? I know it's at the AT&T. What's the
Yeah,
capacity there? Is it like 60,000, 70,000? What's the capacity? Anyone?
like 70,000.
I reckon it's going to be a sellout, Beebs. I reckon there's going to be a lot of late ticket buyers, and the fact that it's a football weekend as well. I don't know if the Raiders is playing the night before, the night after. There's gonna be a lot of people in Las Vegas. Also, a lot of people now are saving money to go to Vegas. They're not just like going there every weekend, because the Vegas numbers for tourism, they're down a lot. Um, but I do think they're going to show up for this fight.
Yeah, so we got Kristen and Billy versus Lester Martinez. That's a pretty decent fight. Lester Martinez is an exciting fighter. Not a lot of people know who he is, but he's a tough guy. Brandon
Ooh,
Adams.
Monday. So they're saying that the Raiders has got a Monday night football. Oh, dude. So this means people might be going there on a Sunday, or even for the weekend on Saturday, Sunday. So there's going to be a
This
lot of
fight,
people.
this fight is going to pick up a lot of steam, I think.
I just wish that they marketed it more. Like market it more. Like uh,
Well, again, I'm telling you, there's been a lot of shorts and a lot of YouTube stuff and TikTok. There's been a lot of social media stuff. So,
hey, you know what? Boxers, they need to. You know what? That because the mainstream media don't follow boxing anymore. It's mainly the YouTube boxing fans that are like
so that's
marketing
that's
boxing
that's where
now.
they target. Like, there's a lot of kids. There's a lot of younger kids on TikTok. There's a lot of younger kids on um, YouTube. So I don't know. I'm curious to see. Right. I'm curious to see what the ratings are going to be for this fight. I really am, and
Bibbs,
I hope they report them after the fight. I really do.
Bibbs, if Bud Crawford wins, we have to give him credit. If he wins this, if he somehow wins this fight, he probably now belongs in the Mayweather Pacquiao bracket.
Listen, I'm
Not better than them, but he is in the conversation because at the moment he isn't.
whether
He
whether this
isn't.
whether this is fair or not. I'm going to make some statements here, and you tell me if you agree with it. Both guys, regardless of what happens at the end of this fight, will be first ballot Hall of Famers. We already
Yes.
know that.
Yes.
Now,
Especially Canelo.
if Canelo loses this fight, does this hurt his legacy?
Nah, not really. It's just more of an
Well,
embarrassment.
will he still be considered the best, or even be talked about as the best Mexican fighter of all time if he loses to
He
Crawford?
never was. He never is or was. He can't
A lot of
eclipse.
people are saying that.
Nah, he
So
can't eclipse.
will he still be considered an elite fighter if he loses to Terrence Crawford?
Yeah, because people might think that he was old at that time. Like he's 38 years old, man. But I'm not making any excuses for him because he's the favorite in this fight. He should win this fight, right? I'm just saying if he loses, first of all, I don't even consider him as number one Mexican. I don't even consider him number two because my number two
A
is
lot of people are
Manuel
saying
Marquez.
he a lot of people are saying based off of accomplishments, he should be ahead of Julio Cesar Chavez as the best fighter, best Mexican fighter ever.
Was Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. undisputed at 140, or was he just the lineal Ring Magazine?
Whoa.
Chavez, sorry, not Chavez Jr. Chavez Sr. Was he undisputed at 140, or was he just the lineal Ring Magazine?
I don't think
Uh,
Chavez Sr. was ever undisputed.
okay,
Ever.
all right, but look, you can't beat. Even if he did achieve more than Chavez, you're not going to convince a Mexican to say, "Oh, he's better than Chavez." It's kind of like when Donaire's highlight reels are way better than Pacquiao. But if you talk to a Filipino, you're not going to convince him to say, "Hey, Donaire's highlight reels are better than Pacquiao." No one will believe you, right? Because it's
Who's the second best Filipino fighter of all time?
I would have to say maybe Elordi. I do like Donaire. Donaire's two or three. Pancho Villa was also pretty good in the 20s. In fact, he was the first Filipino celebrity. Back in the 20s,
People forget Donaire was pretty high up there on the pound for pound list at one
he
time in
was.
his
He was number
career.
he was number three. He was also fighter of the year in 2012, I think.
Yeah, Donaire
Um,
had a phenomenal career, and
his
Donaire.
knockout reels is out of this world, man. Have a look at his KO reels. When he
I
KOs
interviewed
someone,
I interviewed Donaire a couple times when I was on
oh,
like
okay,
Robodope
cool.
Radio. Yeah, he's a really nice guy, man. He's a very honest guy, and why I like talking to him is he'll actually break down like this, boxing from a analytical perspective. Like he breaks down like styles and stuff. Like you could actually talk shop with him. You know what I mean? Like from a he's really a student of the game. So
However, he's underrated in Philippines, though. He's not. I know. I
Well,
know he's not well loved.
He was born in the Philippines, correct?
He was. He was.
Did he live there for a long period of time?
Until maybe he was like 10 years old, and then their family then migrated to America. So he is from Philippines. He was born in Philippines. However, he's not as beloved as I thought he would be. I think it's because it's his relationship with his father. Like a lot of Filipinos, they have great relationships with their father, and Donaire doesn't. I feel like Donaire has became too westernized to the point where the Filipinos in their homeland, they couldn't relate to him anymore because he
I
doesn't have
don't I
those.
don't know I don't know Rachel Donier personally,
Don't
but
say
I
this.
know
Don't say it.
I know she's the manager, right?
The
And
trainer too.
I've
The
actually
trainer
had a
too.
yeah, I've actually had to contact her when I wanted to interview him and stuff. And I will say this, she is a very strong personality, and I don't say this in an insulting way, but she has a lot of masculine traits.
Okay.
She's not a submissive woman,
Yeah.
and she, I think, because his father is an old school guy, I think the relationship between Nonito and her, because she had because Nonito allowed her to have such a say in his career, and he gave her a lot of authority and put a lot of trust in her in helping him throughout his career. I think that created a lot of friction between Nonito and his
Yes.
dad. So I think she was the one that,
Because Rachel was born, I think, in America. She wasn't born in
yeah.
Philippines. Had Nonito say married a Filipina who was born in Philippines, she would have had like non-Western values. She would have been like submissive and not get into the Donaire father and son. Like that's none of her business. You know what I mean? Um,
It's none of my business either, but when you have a situation like that, um, I tend to feel more sorry for the father.
yeah, most Filipinos do feel that because Pacquiao ended up funding Donaire Senior because Donaire Senior doesn't have a lot of money, and Pacquiao ended up like funding some of that, even though Donaire is a
Listen,
millionaire, and it's like
one
it.
thing one thing about Pacquiao, a lot of people do things for show, but people always talk about what Pacquiao does. Pacquiao never ever talks about what he does for other people. He never brags about it. He never talks about it. He never tries to promote all the good things he does. It's always someone else who either knows about it, who has been involved in it, who has or has been the recipient of his charity that talks about Pacquiao. So I think genuinely, even with all his faults, he's not a perfect person, right? We're not going to say some of the issues he's had, but even through all his faults, I think genuinely Pacquiao is a good person. I don't think there's anything fake about the guy. I think he is a good person. I think he is a compassionate person, and I think he's a net positive for society as a human being.
But
It's
just to
crazy.
the
It's
defense
crazy
of me,
too.
but
Let me just say one thing. Let me just finish one point. I'll let you go. It's crazy when Pacquiao was fighting Mayweather, the buildup throughout the years, and even when the fight was signed, the American public was rooting for Manny Pacquiao over the American who's Floyd Mayweather.
even the black people were probably wanting Pacquiao to win. Like it's
All the Mexican Americans,
of
like
course.
all most people wanted
Yeah.
Pacquiao to
Vince,
win.
most of Mayweather's haters are black people, actually. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I actually like Floyd. Sometimes I stand up
I don't
for
hate
him.
Floyd, but I just don't like the person. But
So just
he's
yeah,
a phenomenal fighter. Here's things that I love and respect about Floyd Mayweather. I love the work ethic. Love it. I love the fact that he was a great boxer, obviously. He had a lot of discipline and a lot of determination, and he was just a great fighter. But I just don't like the person.
So just to get back to Donaire, just in the defense of Donaire, I know most Filipinos who are living in the Philippines, they're not going to understand this because I'm in the same position, right? I was born in Philippines and then I went to a foreign country that had Western values.
Are you were born in the Philippines?
Yes,
How long
right?
did you live there? How long did you live there for?
Since I was 12, right?
Wow.
So when
Do you
you go,
speak Tagalog? Do you speak Tagalog?
oh, I've lost it, Beebs, like because we spoke English at home. So when a family goes to a foreign country, especially if you like that culture, you're going to have a lot of Western values instead of conservative values. I don't blame Donaire on what he did to his father because it's what kind of like like what Mayweather did to his father. It's the same thing. It's a little bit different, but it's the same thing. Now, if Donaire lived in Philippines all his life, never went to America, yeah, then of course that's not going to happen. But I'm just letting all the Filipinos know that you have to have because a lot of Filipinos that are probably they respect Donaire, but they don't like what he did to his father. But the thing is, for me, I understand it because what he did was something that a Westerner would do, and he is a Westerner now. His wife is super Western because she was born in she's Filipina, but she was born in America. She doesn't know anything. She does know a little bit about Philippine culture, but not to the point where it's because she's an American, really. Also,
These
just one more
people.
thing about Mayweather. The biggest mistake that Mayweather did was when he self-proclaimed himself as the TBE. When he did that, people then put him up into the same
Well,
bracket.
you're not only the worst thing Mayweather ever did was talk shit about Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, but because when he said I'm TBE, right? I'm now better than Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali fought everyone. He did not duck anyone. He even fought when he was sick or when he was injured, whatever. Floyd did nothing, did not even close to that. And that's part of the reason why he is not beloved. Because when same with LeBron James when LeBron James won that title in 2015, he went on air to say, "I'm now the greatest ever." Dude, you only did it once. You only did that great thing once, and your titles at Miami didn't count because that was a super team. You had two franchise players.
Once
Franchise
again, that's another guy
franchise
who I
players.
admire. That's another guy, excuse me, who I don't really admire, but I respect and I give credit. But yeah, he's not Jordan. He's not Jordan.
Because Jordan did it 6 times, and he also did it even before he became a champion. Scottie Pippen is not a franchise player. He's a great player, but he's not a franchise player. Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, franchise players. Anthony Davis, franchise players. Kyrie Irving, a franchise player. Jordan never played with a franchise player. Rodman, great player, not a franchise. What I mean by a franchise player is you can carry a team on your own. You're the face of that team, and you carry it for a long period of time. Now, Pippen only did it 1.5 years. In his first year, he did well. In the second year, in 1995, before Jordan got there, they were hardly a 500 team. They were struggling. They barely made 500.
I
People only
disagree. I disagree with Jay Will, who says Scottie Pippen was a
He's
franchise
not a
player because
franchise player, dude.
he couldn't lead a team. A franchise player is a player who could lead a team. He
Yeah,
can't
look,
lead a team.
yeah. Like Dominic Wilkins, he was a franchise player. He led that Atlanta team for over 10 years against Larry Bird. He basically carried that team on his own. Now, the reason why Scottie Pippen was the player that he was is because of Jordan. Jordan taught him all of the tricks of the trade. Like if Scottie Pippen wasn't drafted or if he wasn't traded to the Bulls and he went to Seattle, we probably wouldn't even remember him. Like he wouldn't be the player that he would be. because Sean Kemp, he was young, and Gary Payton was there in 1990. Pippen was not 87. Sean Kemp was 89. So he would have to somehow find it in his inner self to be who he is. Pippen wasn't. Michael Jordan um, uh, covered for Pippen so many times. I can't even count them, right? And
Let
also
me
when
let me
when, when
ask you.
you when you are when there's the best player in the history of the world is standing next to you, you stand tall yourself. Like I remember when I was playing basketball, I played with the best center in our region. People thought I was a great point guard, but in my mind, no, I wasn't.
Let's not exaggerate that.
You
Come
know
on.
what I mean? Because every time I pass it to him, right, he would
I've
he,
seen
he would
clips of your game.
he would get
I
assist
mean,
on me.
don't overestimate yourself. I just saw
No,
clips of your
no,
game.
what happened was he got older because it was under 18s when he was older than me. When he left, and he left there with my team, we were crap, and my assist numbers went down like crazy. Right now, I didn't say this to anyone, but you know, when you're standing next to a great player, you stand tall yourself, and knowing that Pippen was a six-time world champion, that brings a lot to your psyche. You're now shooting threes that you shouldn't be shooting, but it goes in because you're a champion. You know what I mean? That's something that LeBron only did once. He only did that once when he in that 2015, and that was a circumstantial championship win because Steph Curry he was injured the last three games, and Draymond Green he got suspended for Game 5 and Game 6. Had he not been suspended, they probably would have ended it in 5 games. So it's not like I give him credit because it was such a great series, but you gotta peel through the banana, man. Like even with the 2000 to 2020, dude, that was in the bubble, man. That's an asterisk, even. So to me, I don't even have LeBron in my. To me, it's Jordan, Bill Russell for me. I don't know why that guy won 6 MVPs on the defensive end. There's only one person. There's only the other guy who won MVP who was a defensive player. Just as a defensive player, was Willis Reed.
He won a world title as a coach and a player.
Yeah, that's right. That's another thing that no one's done too. So he won, I think, 11. So I have him number 2.
11 championships. Yeah, he's insane.
I have Larry Bird at 3, Kareem 4,
That's
Magic
amazing. I was
4.
just gonna ask you, who do you think was a better small forward? Larry Bird or LeBron James? Who would you
No,
rather
I got
have?
Larry Bird, man.
I
I
love
got
Larry.
Larry.
Well,
Dude,
I
Larry.
asked, listen to this now. I asked this question on Twitter. I said this. If there's 10 seconds left to go in a game and one guy has to take the last shot, who would you rather have take the last shot?
Definitely.
Larry Bird or LeBron James?
LeBron James will
Every,
pass it.
everybody said Larry Bird.
Also, when Larry Bird was in his prime, he made two defensive, he was a three-time all defensive teams. So he's not like Magic Johnson never made any all defensive teams. Larry Bird made it 3 times. 3 times. And he had a 90, he had a 50, 40, 90 split. Like, I think he averaged that in a space of like 5 years. Even Steph Curry couldn't do that. You know what I mean? And he also has more averages, more rebounds than LeBron James at an era where like you can get knocked down by an
Let me
elbow.
ask you a question. When have you ever seen LeBron James dive for a ball?
He used to do it in his early days, not anymore. After 2015, he stopped doing that shit. He did do it in his earlier career. I do remember that. I remember when he played against the Detroit Pistons and he scored like 20 to 30 points in the fourth quarter. And I thought, okay, this guy is on his way. He might. I was thinking, oh, he might surpass Jordan because Jordan never really did that to anyone in early in his career. In fact, Jordan early in his career, he was always out in the first round. LeBron James was already making NBA finals. I was thinking, oh man, this guy might surpass him. But then when he made that move about when he went to Miami, I was thinking, dude, you can't do that, man. Because dude, you're the best player in the world. You can't then that's like when Jordan was
Everybody
losing.
everybody was so mad when he did that with Miami. They were making fun of that whole thing too.
because he was the
They
best
made
player in the world, man. You can't do that. Like that's like when Michael was losing to Detroit. He's gonna go, "Hey, Magic, I'm gonna join your team with you,
you.
James Worthy." You know what I mean, Beeps? Michael's not gonna do that. Even if he asked Magic that, Magic's gonna say no, dude. You stay in your own lane. You stay there. You know what I mean? Like those guys in the 80s and 90s, or even in the 2000s, those guys were warriors, man. Because also LeBron played in, I think he entered the NBA in 2004, so he caught a lot of that warrior mentality. But he like Jordan passed that warrior mentality to Kobe, and Kobe wanted to pass that on to LeBron James. I remember in 2008 in the Olympic trials when LeBron, when they first met, LeBron went to Kobe and says, "Hey man, how are you?" Kobe ignored him, and LeBron was like
Listen
looking
to,
at him.
listen to this comment. Magic played on a super team too. Bird played with a lot of Hall of Famers too. But listen, this is where that argument is that gets destroyed. Bird and Magic played on one team their whole career. And before they came into the league, both the Lakers and the Celtics were shit teams. So the teams were
Right,
built around them.
that's right.
Okay?
When Bird, before Bird got to Boston, Boston was like 20 wins, 62 losses
They
or
were
something.
horrible.
Lakers weren't. They weren't horrible. They were good, but they weren't winning. The Lakers didn't even reach the Western Conference Finals. They kept losing in the first round or in the second round. When Magic got there, they ended up winning championships. Now, Bees, I do think that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he gets a little bit of he's a bit underrated in that 1980s era because he carried. It wasn't Magic's team in that from 1980 to say 1986. That was Kareem's team. But in '87, then it was Magic's team. But
Who do you think was the best center of all time?
I'm gonna say, oh, this is gonna be controversial. I'm going to say Hakeem because Hakeem did it in both ends. Hakeem is the only player to win Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, and NBA Finals MVP. He's the only one that's done that.
I think in terms of it's tough because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was really good too, but
He was. He was really good.
but I love Hakeem's game. He was like he was such an athletic guy, so quick.
Beebs, even Jordan said that he wants Hakeem as his center because he had a. So this is Jordan's team. He's got Magic at the point. He's got himself at shooting guard. He's got Scottie Pippen in the small forward. His power forward is actually James Worthy, who he played with at North Carolina, and his center is Hakeem Olajuwon. That's his
Who's
starting five.
who do you put it at? Who does he put at the small forward?
Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
No, Pippen was good, man. But I do think that Michael carried him. See, this is what Skip Bayless had a lot of slack when because I remember he was saying that Jordan carried Pippen a lot, and at that time, even what's his name, even Stephen A. Smith was giving him slack. Looking back at it now, Skip was right. He was right. Jordan, he did carry him. If it wasn't for Jordan, Pippen probably wouldn't be an All Star. He wouldn't be. Because he in 1987 with Seattle, the best player there I think was Tom Chambers. What's Chambers gonna learn? What's he gonna teach him?
That one time where I thought that the Bulls had the greatest threat was when they played that Phoenix team when they had Barkley, Tom Chambers, Kevin
It
Johnson.
was a good team. That's a very good team. That's a super
That
team.
Phoenix team was a really good team. I thought that was the one chance that they had a chance to get dethroned was when they were playing
I do
that.
think that the unfortunate thing what happened was Cedric Sabalos, one of his family, they died, so he couldn't play in that series. Cedric Sabalos was really good, man. Because the year after he went to the Lakers, dude, the Lakers beat Seattle in the first round. this is before. So
I,
Seattle
I,
lost.
I, I, do you think Steph Curry's a better player than LeBron James?
Nah, I think LeBron's better. Because Steph can't
Because
play defense, man. Like, and he's a
Steph,
liability in
Steph,
defense.
Steph won more championships than
He
LeBron.
did. He did. But Steph
And
Curry, as
and,
a
and
player,
when
he's a life.
Steph's teams matched up against LeBron James teams, they won more.
That's true. But we're not talking about the team. We're just talking about the two players, right?
Yeah.
Oh, no, LeBron's definitely better because Steph Curry is a liability on defense. If you look at
Was
that,
Le, is LeBron James a great defender?
he wasn't, but he's good enough though. He's not bad. Like he's not as good as say Scottie Pippen defensively, but he's pretty good. Like he made all defensive team at least
So
five
you would
times.
argue LeBron is better because he's more well-rounded.
Yeah, and he's a better defender. Defense to me is important. As you
LeBron's a good
like
passer too, like Steph Curry. Well, Steph Curry's a pretty decent passer too.
he is, but he doesn't utilize it too much because he plays more as a shooting guard. Now, I do give to me one of he's probably in the top five most influential NBA players because he changed the game. When you change the game, like he even changed the game more than Michael Jordan because a lot of the stuff that Michael Jordan would do, a lot of the kids would try and do it, including me. But the players didn't want to do it because they don't have the hang time as he does. Like the up and unders. Everyone at high school, we all
There was
tried to
this
do it.
move. There was this move Isaiah Thomas used to do. We used to always copy it, where he would dribble and he would take the ball and he would go like
Oh
he would
yeah.
take the ball and go like this, like pop it up and catch it and then shoot it, like when he did a
Oh
layup.
okay. Oh yeah, yeah,
We
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember him doing that. Yeah,
like
yeah,
he used to do that. I
yeah,
used to love. Believe Isaiah
yeah.
Thomas
Another
was one of my
underrated.
favorite. He was one of my favorite players. I used to love.
Yeah.
I used to love watching Isaiah Thomas play. He was such a
Isaiah
great player.
Thomas, he had a will to him that's something that John Stockton and Chris Paul don't have. Like when the game, when you're down five and you need to win it in the last 2 minutes, Isaiah Thomas can win it for you. Chris Paul, John Stockton, Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, they can't do all that. That's why Michael Jordan said that Isaiah Thomas is the second best point guard
Point guard of all time.
of all time, and I agree with him. I agree with him because his will to win, and to me, leadership counts too. And it was a great defender, excellent defender. Um, but yeah, I with LeBron, man, it's kind of like it's the same thing with Mayweather. I wished he didn't do that. I wish he just because when he was in Cleveland, he could have asked Chris Bosh to hey come to Cleveland. I would have accepted that. You know what I mean? Like maybe not then ask Chris Bosh because it's the same thing. Like it's now. But if he asked Chris Bosh, I think they would have won a championship. Him and Chris Bosh and those guys. He only needed one other player because he
I
was doing.
always make fun of. I always talk shit to Eric about LeBron James, but then you know what he always says? He goes, "Well, he redeemed himself because he came back to Cleveland and he enabled us to win one."
He did. He did. That
So
championship that he won in 2015 is actually worth two. It's worth two. But his championship in Miami, instead of two, it's only worth one. And the one that he won in 2020, because it's an asterisk, it's only zero point 0.5. So really, he only won 2.5 to me, 2.5 championships, not four. Whereas Steph Curry, all those championships, maybe the one with Durant, they won two with Durant. I reckon that only counts for one because, man, dude, you can't. If you're the second best player in the world, you can't then go to the best team in the world as well. It's like, dude, it's like
it's
you
just
copy.
like it's just like anything else in the modern day sports era. They become less competitive and more
Yeah,
business-like, right?
yeah. It's like, baby. It's like when we go to like a nightclub, like us in our generation, we would go up to that girl and ask her out for a dance. Nowadays, like LeBron James and Kevin Durant, they would wait for that girl to come over to them and ask them out. That's the difference in terms of nightclub scenario. Like those guys in the 80s and 90s, they were warriors, man. They were like cut from like Genghis Khan cloth. These guys, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, man, they're like they're like Napoleon, like like short and stubby, and they
You're
don't.
on point today with these analogies. I'm liking these analogies today.
You know what I mean, beef? So like they're just like
I'm usually the analogy guy, but you're killing it today with the analogies.
like those guys in the 80s. They were like Alexander the Great. They would lead from the front. They would even kill themselves if they had to. Like these LeBron James and Kevin, they're like Napoleon, man. They're at the back, and if they lose, they run. They run. They retreat. You know what I mean? Like, no, you have to kill yourself because you're the leader. You have to like, even if it costs you your death, you have to do it. You know what I mean? That's like the mentality of Filipinos and Mexicans and Japanese fighters. You go until the death, like with the samurai. You know what I mean? That's why we respect Mayweather, but if he goes to any of the Filipino gyms, people will laugh at him because he cherry picked. He didn't fight the fights that we wanted him to see, even though we all think that he probably would have beaten Pacquiao anyway. You know what I mean, Beeps?
Did you ever think that Pacquiao could beat Mayweather?
Not at 147. At 130, yes. 130. When Pacquiao beat Morales the third time, I thought, man, I reckon he'll beat Mayweather. But not at 147. He's too big. Size matters. Kind of like here with Canelo and Bud Crawford. At some point, it will matter. Like here, Canelo's too
So
big for Bud Crawford.
let's wrap this up, and we're gonna go. You're picking Canelo. What
Yes.
is Little Penny's? Well, you don't really score the fights, but
No, I don't.
what do you think the final scorecards are going to be?
8-4 Canelo.
Across the board, you don't think there'll be any 115 and 113s?
Nah. I think because Bud's going to run around in the ring after he feels Canelo's power. And once he knows that he can't hurt Canelo, he's going to run around. But I don't think Canelo will even chase him. It'll just be like a gentleman's sparring session. Babes, what about you? What's your prediction?
I think Crawford will win this fight on the scorecards 115, 113 twice, and 116 to 112 once. And I
In Las
just
Vegas,
think,
Babes? In Las Vegas?
yes,
Jeez. All right.
yes.
And you're
And
optimistic.
I just think that Crawford will be busier. I think he'll be landing a lot more jabs. I think that Canelo will be waiting a little bit too much in this fight. I think he'll be throwing one punch at a time. I think he'll be loading up. I think his feet will be slower. Uh, I think that Crawford will see the punches coming. I'm not saying he'll go through this fight unscathed, but I don't think that Canelo has that same timing, that those same reflexes, and I think he never had quick feet. But I think his feet will even be slower against Crawford, and I see Crawford having a pretty impressive performance. I think he'll have a real high level, real smart, skillful performance against Canelo. I think he'll slightly outwork him, and I think he'll be the guy that will be eking out some of these rounds. And I think as the fight wears on, I think Canelo will slow down, and I think Crawford will start picking it up like he did against Madrimov towards the end. And they've pretty much said that. They're saying that they're going to really try to pour it on in the second half of this fight. And I know people are saying, oh, well, Canelo's got late stoppages. He has one against Kovalev and he has one against Plant. Yeah, but those are guys who actually fade worse than Canelo does down the stretch. Kovalev always fades, and so does Plant. So even though Canelo fades late in fights, those guys fade even worse. So that's why Canelo was still able to have a little bit of success against those guys. Whereas Crawford tends to get better as the fight wears on. So I think in the beginning this could be a chess match. But once Crawford starts timing Canelo and starts figuring out that he can get to him, I think Crawford will start having more and more success as the fight wears on.
Reese, just to answer your question, I don't think Bud's going to do Charlo. I do think Bud's going to try and win it in the first 6 rounds. But once he feels Canelo's power and he can't hurt him because Canelo's got a granite chin, after 6 rounds, I do think he's going to run around. But Charlo did it right from the first round. He didn't even try. Bud Crawford will try. He will try. He will try.
The
He'll
difference
try.
the difference is I think Crawford knows he's going to have to start a little quicker. And although he may not jump right into the fire, I just see Crawford throwing a ton of jabs in this fight. I think he's going to consistently be trying to at least touch Canelo, right? Even though even if he doesn't want to step in with anything significant, he's going to just try to keep touching him, and that's where I think the difference is going to be. He's going to just be nicking and picking and prodding a little bit more. I think with the fact that he's going to constantly be initiating some type of action, whereas Canelo I think is going to have spots where he's going to be waiting.
Yeah. Also, hey, Beeves, I just want to clarify something with Kobe Bryant. A lot of people now, even like
I love Kobe Bryant, by the way.
even like players now are putting him in the top three GOAT status. I remember in 2015 when he retired, he was never in the top five GOAT conversation. It's only after his death that he's now in the top three all of a sudden. I don't know why. But to me, Kobe was great, right? But he's not in the top five. He might be in the top 10,
Top
but not.
10.
Kobe Bryant only won one MVP regular season. He won two Finals MVP, and one of them he played like shit. That second one,
How many
if
did
you look
Bird
at
win? Did Bird win two MVPs or three?
three in a row, and he won three Finals MVP. Sorry, two Finals MVP as well. Cedric Maxwell won the other one. But what I'm saying is, if you're such a great, even with Shaquille O'Neal, he only won one MVP in 2000. Now he won three Finals MVP, right? However, if you're in GOAT status, dude, you got to do everything. You got to be
Where do
MVPs in
you
the regular
where do
season,
you rank
and also
where do you,
Finals MVP.
where do you rank Shaquille O'Neal in the all-time greats of centers?
I think he's in the top five, but he's not in my top three. Shaquille O'Neal, he was friggin' lazy. He never won the blocks. He never led the league in blocks. Never led the league in rebounds. Look how big he is, man. With that sort of a size, dude, you got to lead the league in rebounds at least 3 or 4 times. And I'm not even talking about when Dennis Rodman was there in the 90s, where it was averaging 17 or 18. I'm talking about in the 2000s when Rodman already retired. Dude, you should lead the league in rebounds at least once. He never did it, Beeps. Never. That's crazy to me.
I would
Never led the
argue
league in
I
blocks,
would
too.
I would argue that Hakeem Olajuwon was probably the best defensive center of all time, meaning because he could steal the ball, he could guard you. Like it wasn't just with blocks. He
Yeah.
could guard you. He he could take like he would do other things to prevent you from scoring, not just blocks.
Yeah. It would also help on the double teams, too. Like, for example, if you do like a pick and roll, so now the point guard is free. He will actually guard the point guard for maybe
Because his feet were
yeah,
so
because a
quick.
couple of
They
seconds
could
until
he would even be able to stop that cut that point guard off at the pass
yes,
because
yeah.
his feet
Well,
were so quick.
Shaquille can't do that, and Shaquille was terrible down the stretch. He was terrible because they would just foul him. If you look
Wow,
at those NBA,
you're going really hard on Shaquille, man.
dude, if you go in those NBA finals where the game is close, Shaquille O'Neal's on the bench because he's useless in the last 5 minutes. People will just foul him, and he would miss all of those free throws. Have you watch those NBA finals late in the game where it's close? I'm not talking about when they're winning by
Imagine
10 and
imagine if this guy could hit free throws.
oh, he would
How
he would
many points a game this guy would average?
oh man, he was already I think Shaquille only I think he averaged in his prime around 28, 29.
Did
He,
Shaquille ever lead the league in sroing?
yeah, he did it twice. He did it twice. But remember Jordan led it 10 times, like, far out. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, and Jordan's MVP was five, I think. Five regular seasons, six MVPs, one defensive player of the year. Kobe Bryant, he's nowhere near that. I think Kobe Bryant only led the league in points maybe twice. Like, come on, dude. Like, even now Kobe Bryant does have the defensive teams there, which is commendable. He does have a lot of not as much as Jordan, but it is there. But in terms of like the goat status, he's not in the top five, dude, because when first of all he got Shaq out of there in the Lakers. I remember in for the first 10 games when he got introduced in the Staples Center, people don't remember this. They were booing him when they said, from Laura Marion, 6'6", number 24, Kobe Bryant. For the first 10 games in that season, I think 2005, people were booing him. The Lakers fans were booing him. He's the only great Lakers guy that when they introduced the players, they were booing him. Now, Wilt Chamberlain in the finals, when he got injured, they were booing him and stuff, but not when they were introduced. I'm just talking about the introduction. He's the only Laker that got booed. That counts for me. Right now, he did get them back.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Are you putting that in the criteria
No,
for
no,
how
no, no.
great a
I'm just
player
saying.
is, whether or not they get booed?
No, no, no. It counts a little bit though because he got Shaq out of there.
Whoa,
No, no, no.
whoa.
Because of the ramification. If Shaq stayed with the Lakers, they would have won another three. Do you agree? They would have won another three championships.
Yeah,
Agree or disagree?
I agree.
It was Kobe Bryant. He went to management and says, "Hey, get Shaq out of here. He's lazy, blah blah blah," because he wanted his own legacy. He was greedy. Now, good for him for being greedy, but dude, he only won five championships. If Shaq
This is how
stayed,
great. This is how great Magic is. This is why you got to love and respect him, and I'll tell
I
you
know where
why.
you're going with this. I know where you're going with this.
Even when Kareem was winding down, he still said, out of respect,
Yes,
this guy is our leader.
yes, yes.
Got to give him
That's
that.
leadership. That's leadership on its own too. That's leadership as well.
Magic
We need to defer.
Johnson, Magic Johnson, I'll tell you, I'll tell you who I think my greatest players of all time are. Jordan's number one. I actually put Magic Johnson at number two, and I'll tell you why. He's the only player that I know in the history of the game that could play all five positions on that court and do so and would be great at all five positions. May not be the best center of all time, but if he decided I wanted to play center, he would be probably in the top 10, right? He could play small forward, he could play any position. You know what I mean? And if he wanted to score more, he probably could have. But he was so
Unselfish.
obviously great players have egos, but someone of his status was probably the most unselfish player in the history of I and this is crazy because I'll tell you this, even being a Celtics fan, coming from the Boston area, living in Massachusetts and living in this Boston area my whole life, even though we had a great rivalry against the Lakers, a lot of Celtics fans still loved and respected Magic Johnson because he was just such a great player,
Yes.
right? So for me, he may be the second best player of all time based upon that, and because he
Dude,
was
I
such a
have, I
great
have
winner.
Larry Bird above Magic because Larry Bird made three all defensive teams. Magic didn't. That's the only thing. Magic wasn't a great defender. He wasn't even a good defender. At least Larry Bird was a good defender. He wasn't a great defender, but he was a good defender.
Yeah, but
It's
here's
to
the thing. Here's the thing. You
me,
tell me
defense
if
counts for me.
I'm going to make a counter argument to that.
Yep.
Name any point guard. Well, Gary Payton. Other than Gary Payton, what point guard was ever known for their defense? Because
Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd.
he, he was good, but was he ever like he wasn't like Gary Payton? He was known for his defense.
Yeah, he
How
was.
many point guards made the all defensive team?
Usually,
You have to have a point guard, but
yeah.
name one point guard that made the all defensive team that was like an all time great defensive player overall, like that was predominantly known for their defense.
Gary Payton and Jason Kidd Kidd made a lot of all defensive teams in the 2000s because Gary Payton
Because you see a lot of different point guards over the years have to be shuffled around to make that team. Whereas
yeah.
you'll see like Jordan always made that team. Certain guys like
Malone too.
Karl Malone always made that team. Hakeem Olajuwon always made that team. Name one point guard that consistently made that team year after year, besides
I would
Gary
say
Payton.
Jason Kidd in the 2000s. Jason
Let me
Kidd.
see how many. Let me Google that. How many all defensive teams was Jason Kidd on?
Because in the 1990s, Gary Payton had to compete with Anthony Hardaway, like Tim Hardaway. There was a lot of great point guards in the 1990s.
How many all defensive teams did Jason Kidd make? Let's see.
At least, I reckon, at least seven.
All right, I got to give you. I got to say,
How
all,
many?
he was four-time all defensive first team, five-time all defensive team second. Now let's do Gary Payton. So
Yeah,
I got to give you.
Gary Payton wasn't very good in his early days. In fact, he wasn't even starting. It was Nate McMillan who was the starting point guard. He only really got really good in 1993, and I reckon Payne's got about seven or eight.
He's got nine too.
Oh, nine. Okay. But Gary Payne had more first teams though, right?
Uh,
Whereas Jason Kidd
how
has
many?
more second teams. But because while you're
Let
just
me
looking
see.
at that, the reason why I have Larry Bird as as higher than Magic is because Larry Bird played with Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale. Those two aren't in the top 10 best of all time. Magic played with Kareem,
Listen
who's
to this.
in the
Listen to
top
this.
three.
All nine times Gary Payton was on the all defensive team.
Hmm.
He was on the first team
Oh, wow.
all
What
nine
about second
times.
teams? Does he have second teams?
No, all nine times was first
Oh,
team.
that's what Jordan. That's Jordan
So
stuff.
I guess
Jordan
I
did the
guess
same thing.
I guess we got to give Jason Kidd some credit, but he's not on the
Oh, he
level
was
of
good,
Gary.
but he
He's
wasn't.
not
He
Gary
wasn't good.
Payton level.
Yeah, yeah, he wasn't good offensively as Gary Payne. Gary Payne was more of a complete player, whereas Jason Kidd, he was on a more defensive. But Jason Kidd could carry a team, though. I mean, he led
Well,
that New
Gary Payton was known more for his defense than his
York,
offense,
but he was a
whereas
better
Jason.
offense. But he had an offensive game to him. Jason Kidd
No, he
really
was
didn't.
great. Gary Payton was a great player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Larry
yeah,
Larry Bird was named to the NBA All Defensive Second Team three times.
yeah. See, that's what I mean.
He, was-
Magic doesn't have any.
he never yeah, so he never made the first team. He was always the second team.
Yeah,
Let me see if Magic made any.
no, I don't think he did.
Never selected it as for an all defensive team.
See, because when you can stop somebody, that counts as 2 points. So Larry Bird, when he averaged like 27, you really got to add 10 more points because he could stop someone. You know what I mean? Whereas Magic's his highest average was 23.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like that's all you can do. Like to me, defense and back then defense was highly valued. It's not like today where no one cares about defense. Back then, defense was as valuable as offense.
LeBron James was named five times all defensive first team and
Hmm.
one time all defensive second team. So he's got six.
Michael's got like 10 or something. So you know what I mean? Like LeBron, he was a good defender. I would say he was a great defender, but not an elite defender. Like, elite is someone like Hakeem, Michael Jordan. I do think Scottie Pippen was an elite defender himself. He was really good defensively. People don't
Isaiah
remember that.
Thomas. Isaiah Thomas didn't make any all defensive teams. See, there's a lot
He
of
did
point
it?
guards.
Really?
No,
Are you sure? He was a
never
good
made
defender.
any. Never made any all defensive teams.
Wow. But his team collectively was a very good defensive team. In fact, that's what they're known for. And he was the leader of that team. Chris Paul is also a good point guard. Steve Nash, dude, you can't, dude. Steve Nash won two MVPs,
All
man. Like,
defensive, all defensive first teams for Jordan, nine. All defensive second teams for Jordan, two. So 11 total.
ah, come on, man, come on. That's friggin' and he won Defensive Player of the Year too. LeBron James never won a Defensive Player of the Year. And you know what? I used to watch those late 1980s games. Jordan was like, he was everywhere on the court. Like he was like usually when you double team like someone in the post, the center or the power forward would kick it to the weak side, meaning on the other side, so it's an open shot, right? Because if you pass it to the point guard, the defensive point guard can quickly go back to him. But if you pass it to the weak side on the other side, it's an open shot, right? They couldn't do that to Chicago because the person who's guarding the weak side is Michael Jordan. He was so quick that people didn't want to pass it to the weak side. You know what I mean, Beeps? That
Yeah.
in itself is like people that doesn't show up on the stats, right? That's the reason why a lot of when the Bulls were on their winning championships, not many teams could score over 100, especially on that third that from 96 to 1998. They held a lot of teams to under 100 points, and that's because the guys like Barkley, Olajuwon, Ewing, Malone, they couldn't pass it to the weak side because they knew that Jordan was prowling. You know what I mean? Like he's prowling. So
Well, I
when
got to
he
give you
passed,
credit here. I got to give you credit here with your Jason Kidd. Jason
yeah,
Kidd's number three all time in steals.
yeah, and you know what? He made a lot of 3 pointers too late in his career. Like people forget that. If you look at the 3 pointers made, he's in the top 20. But he wasn't as a prolific scorer as Gary Payton. I would have Gary Payton above Jason
Gary
Kidd. But
Payton's number Gary Payton's number five. But see, Jason Kidd played a lot of games though.
yeah, he did. He had a longevity.
John
Um,
Stockton. What did John Stockton play? 20 seasons?
Dude, that guy. He now, if you look at his old defensive teams, he'll probably be around 9 because he was an elite defender. He led the league in steals like God knows how many times. Like probably just as much as the assists. I think John Stockton is the league leader in assists all time. I think.
He was an all defensive team 5 times during his career.
Okay.
All time,
That's because he was competing with Isaiah, Michael Jordan there in the guard position with Peyton.
all time leading assists in the NBA. Let's see what this is.
Yeah, that would be John Stockton by far. Second would
Chris Paul.
be yeah Chris Paul, and maybe Mark Jackson is third. Fourth would be Magic, I think. Just
Jason Kidd is number three.
oh Jason Kidd. Okay, Mark Jackson will be there though. Mark Jackson had a lot of assists.
Can you believe LeBron James passed Magic Johnson
That's because
in
of the
assists?
that's because of the 20. Magic only played 10 years, man. LeBron played 20. Well, how many 20 years is it now? I don't know how many years he's played. Dude, he's LeBron James is just pad statting, like. But people are gonna remember some of these stats are what they call empty calories. We used to call this back in the old days. They are empty calories. They don't count. Like 10,000 of his points, they don't count, man. They just. And he also played in a very weak era, right? So kind of like with Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is playing in a weak era. Now he is good, but I don't think he'll ever surpass Tom Brady because Tom Brady played in a very hard era where he had to go up against Ray Lewis who's trying to kill him. No one is trying to kill uh, uh, what's his name? The guy in the Chiefs. What's his name? I forgot his name now. The quarterback for the Chiefs. What's his name again? Patrick Mahomes. Not because they don't want to, it's because the rules won't allow them. So you have to take that into account. Say if Patrick Mahomes gets the same number of Super Bowl wins as Tom Brady is still better than him. Way better. Because Tom Brady played in an era where it's super tough, where he can get killed. Like, he's playing against like Warren Sapp is trying to break his neck. No one is trying to break Patrick Mahomes' neck. No one. You're not even allowed to. You can't even tackle them straight up anymore. Like you have to go on the side now. There's a
So give
new
me give me your top 5 greatest players of all time.
NBA or NFL.
NBA.
I got Michael one. I got two Russell because I love defense. Number three, I've got Bird. Number four, I got Kareem, and five, I got Hakeem. I like Hakeem. I like him a lot. I reckon. People don't complain that the Houston fans, they don't complain that they
So
didn't take
LeBron's
Jordan.
not even in your top five.
I'd be like six or seven. He's good. He is good. He is good. I admit he is very very good. Uh, I just felt like his decision to have a super team in Miami and then have another super team at Cleveland. Where remember Cleveland had that first pick with Wiggins, and then he tried, and then he got what's his name, Kevin Love. So Kevin Love, a franchise player, Kyrie Irving, a franchise player, and he's a franchise player. So he's got three there. Then he went to Lakers, got got AD out of New Orleans Pelicans. He's a franchise player himself. Like, come on, man. Like, I mean, how many franchise players do you need, dude? And I'm not talking about like franchise players at the end of their careers. Like, remember in Houston when Barkley went and played with Drexler and Hakeem? Those guys were they were no longer in their prime. I'm talking about in your prime when you start calling guys who are franchise players, they're in their primes. Hey, let's join one team. Like when KD called what's his name, Steph Curry, and say, "Hey, I want to join your team." Like even though you guys are the best team in the world and I'm the second best player in the world, I want to join your team. Like, come on, man, you can't. Like, Beats, do we talk about Kevin Durant as one of the goats? We don't, right? We don't. That's because he did that. That's because he did that. If he stayed in OKC with Russell Westbrook
Blemish. That's definitely a blemish.
and they won two titles, dude, we would have him. We would have Kevin Durant is maybe the top eight, maybe top seven. But he went to Golden State, and then when he left Golden State, he can hardly get out of the first round. He's always out in the first round, or they don't even make it in the playoffs. And he had a super team there with in Phoenix with Devin Booker is a franchise player. Beal was a franchise player at Washington, right? They joined together. I think they made two playoff appearances, got out in the first round twice, and didn't even make it last year. I mean, dude, if you're such a great player, or if you want to be in the GOAT, when Jordan even went to the Wizards, right? They were still, Jordan was still putting up numbers and they were respectable, right? I don't think they made the playoffs, but Jordan was no longer in his prime. Kevin Durant still has a bit left. Like, where do you put Durant in the all-time great list? Top 20, top 10?
Top 20 probably.
Yeah, top 20.
It's so hard when I do this, when I try to determine who's the best players of all time. I would probably say Jordan's number one. Um,
He had Larry Bird too. Oh, no, sorry, he had Magic too. He had
I'm gonna
Magic
have to
too.
say Magic is number two. I love Magic. Um, number three. Oh God, that's tough. Magic's number two. Maybe Larry Bird number three. Number four. Um, wow, this is tough. Maybe Kareem's number four, and number five. Could make an argument for LeBron being number five.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe I'll put him at number five. Now, even though I like Hakeem's game probably better than Kareem's, Kareem was dominant. He won five. How many titles did Kareem win? Six.
Six. Six.
He was an all defensive guy. He was. I mean, he was.
Yeah, he
He was
was.
a winner. And plus you gotta factor in longevity too.
Yeah.
How long you are yeah. So I'd put Kareem at number
Because the
four.
only reason why I don't have Kareem, I have no, I do have Kareem above. I think I had Hakeem at four. I had Kareem at so I had Kareem at four and Hakeem at five. But the only thing I didn't like what I don't, what I want to criticize about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is he could never do it on his own. Like he always had to have a great player next to him, like with Oscar Robertson and Magic Johnson. Whereas Hakeem did it on his own. In that '94 team, none of his teammates made the All Star game. None. And in the '95 season, Drexler was a perennial All Star, but Drexler didn't make the All Star team in '95.
Here's the $1 million question that I'm going to ask you. Would the Rockets have won those two titles if Jordan was on the Bulls those years?
No, I think Jordan would have won those because
There's always
Jordan's.
there's always going to be an asterisk next to those two titles Hakeem won.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But remember, Hakeem, he played a lot of centers in those two championship years, and he killed them all. Like he didn't just like he actually dominated them. He dominated Ewing. If you look at Ewing's stats, they're in the finals in '94. They're bad. David Robinson, they're even worse the next year.
As great of a player as Ewing was, he just he couldn't do it in the playoffs.
Yeah, but
He
with
never had the teams though. It's not his
correct,
fault.
his teammates were like his best player.
That
The
guy
best,
never had teams. I mean, John
yeah,
Starks was a great player,
yeah, he wasn't. Yeah,
but he just never had.
he was streaky. I reckon if you put Tim Hardaway, a prime Tim Hardaway, with New York, I reckon he wins it in '94. If you put Tim Hardaway without any injuries with Patrick Ewing, so you got Tim Hardaway at the point, Starks at the shooting guard, Charles Smith at the small forward, Oakley at the power forward, and Ewing at the center. I think they beat that '94 Houston team because that series went to seven, and that game seven was pretty close except for the end, like the last 2 minutes. And game six, they should have actually won that game. Houston only won it at the end. They were leading that game in game six all night, except for the last maybe 3 minutes or something, because they didn't have someone who could create their own shots. If you put Tim Hardaway in that team, I reckon that they'll win it. But see what I mean? It has to take another great player to beat the Houston. Dude, none of those guys that he played with we weren't even close to making an all-star team. Like the only closest was Otis Thorpe. Otis Thorpe, like I think he made the all-star game I think in 1989 or something. I don't know. It was really late.
What about
But
Vernon Maxwell? Vernon Maxwell on the team.
he was never close to getting an all-star game because
Good player though, very good player.
yeah, he was. He's a bit overrated now, like because he stood up to
What about
Jordan.
Drexler? Didn't Olajuwon play with Drexler?
He did, but Drexler didn't make the all-star game in '95 because he was considered washed up by then. But they didn't know that he had a bit left in the tank. But
We
he
can't
didn't.
consider we can't consider him an all star though. How
He
many
is.
times
He
that?
is. But what I'm saying is, in '95 when they won it with him, Drexler wasn't in the All Star team. He made it the All Star team the years before and maybe a couple of years after, but not in that '95. That '95 year, Drexler wasn't in the All Star game, All Star team for the West. Rod Strickland. Rod Strickland didn't play for the Rockets. He played for Portland. But anyway, oh, you mean? Oh no, he means in the Knicks. No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah, he was. But Rod Strickland, we were still young at that time. He was. They drafted him, and he was playing. He was on the bench. Mark Jackson was their starting point guard. Rod Strickland was on the bench, but he was. Rod Strickland also didn't make any All Star teams himself. At least Jackson made it once.
Right.
Strickland didn't make it at all.
All right, little Penny. So you're going with Canelo Alvarez 8-4. I'm
Yes.
going with Terrence Crawford 7-5, 8-4. Is there any way you can see Crawford winning this fight, or
Of
is it
course.
just
Of course, I can see him outboxing him, and then that will be the official. If Crawford does beat Canelo, it will be official that Canelo is washed up. Because if you look at his last three fights, you could make an argument that Canelo's washed up, man. Like, why
So
isn't he? You know
let's
what I mean?
let's end this with what happens to boxing if Crawford wins. I think Crawford vacates the titles, and those titles and a lot of all those titles become up for grabs, and people can fight for vacant titles. And Canelo could probably still fight for a vacant title. If Canelo wins, he's going to fight Chris Eubank Jr. next. If Chris Eubank Jr. beats Conor Ben, which I do believe is going to happen.
If Bud wins, I do think he fights one more time because he's never been an A side. He's never been in a big fight where he's the true A side. So if he beats Canelo,
Does Bud go back down to 154 if he wins, or does
yes,
he go back down to 160?
I reckon he goes to 154. He might. I reckon he'll fight the winner of the Thurman Fundora fight, and he will become the A side, the true A side, and he will get the majority of the purse.
So
So remember,
you don't think Bud retires, win, lose, or draw after this fight? You just
I
think
think
you
he'll.
just
I think he'll have one more. Well, one more.
okay.
Because he doesn't have that feeling where he's the true A side, where it's a big fight.
What's better for boxing, a Crawford win or a Canelo win?
I think it'll be a Crawford win. I think
Me
people will,
too.
will talk more about like it will be like Pacquiao beating De La Hoya at 147 because he jumped up
Paulie
from one.
Malignaggi said this. He said if Canelo wins, it's bad for boxing because he'll freeze up the titles.
I don't know if it's bad for boxing because Canelo's the face of boxing. Like I just think that the it will. I think he fights Eubank next if he wins, and there will be
Or Shiraz.
no.
Say if
I don't.
Eubank were to lose, I think he'll fight Shiraz.
Oh, it's Toulouse. Oh, okay. No, I don't think Canelo is going near nowhere near Shiraz. Uh, I think he'll choose another fight where he can easily win. Or he has a big advantage, like here where he's got the
So
size
you think
advantage.
Canelo's going to cherry pick the rest of his career towards the end?
Yes, I do. I reckon he might fight. What's his name? Jake Paul. Dude,
Maybe.
do you know how much? Do you know how many millions those two will make? Jake Paul is a household name. Canelo is also a household name. When you put two household names together, because remember, Bud Crawford is not a household name. Jake Paul is. If you put those two together on pay per view, dude, that could do at least 4 million pay per view.
Monster
Both of
amount.
them, both of them can get 300 million each. You
Okay.
know what I mean? I
All
reckon.
all right. All right, little Penny.
Hey, Chicano is here. Chicano,
What's
Carlos.
happening? He came late. He came late. We're just about to wrap it up, man. You came late to the party. All right, little Penny. Thanks for
All right,
stopping
man.
by, and I can't wait till next week. And make sure you guys tune in tonight.
After the fight, are you going to do like an immediate post review
I
or?
may, I may, but I'm so
I'll join
tired
you.
at the end. I'm so
I'll join
tired
you.
at the end of these fights. So I
Yeah, yeah,
may.
yeah. Only if you want to.
Yeah. All right.
All right, see you, babes.
See you
All
later,
right, bye.
everybody. Have a good one. Take care.